Let's see. I think we are coming up live right now on the YouTube stream. I think we are up on Twitch as well. I think we are up on Kick, but we are not up on TikTok yet. Oh, look a boo. I'm checking the what's saying what's good. How are you doing? I'm slow to switch things over this morning. So I'm getting the TikTok stream up right now. It was still set up saying we were doing Fortnite. How are you doing today? And we're now up on the talk. Let's double check that everything's going. Go to the stream manager. Looks like we are live on YouTube. Concurrent viewer, it says, and a like. Oh, Chris Bliss. Sutton or Tet rest of season. Did I cover? I think maybe I covered that one and it didn't get heard. I think it's still Sutton. I mean, I like them both pretty similarly. I think I would give a slight edge to Sutton, Chris. Luckaboo really enjoyed the Fortnite. I mean, we're getting a lot of positive feedback that I did not expect. Didn't expect it. So thank you for saying that. Didn't expect to get a ton of positive feedback because I don't know that I feel as confident providing some sort of like entertainment while doing it. I can do a stream like this because it's information. So I break stuff down with a lot of content as, are you providing information for people? Like, what am I providing for someone so that they would want to watch it? Mole, thank you for the follow. Let's get the sound settings work. That one didn't come through yet. It takes quite a bit to set stuff up. I think a stream deck might help with that. Okay, headphones. Those should now come through. I just missed one from Shepin. We had Mole with the follow. Could be Mole. Oh, Chris, plus you asked that one in the gaming stream. Really enjoyed, by the way. But the game was too loud. Okay, then I definitely need to work on that. It's all first time. Or I did a couple of them in the summer. But yeah, if people liked it, we'll run that back. At some point, there's going to be a trade deadline, and we won't have trade questions. What is this noise? Bits from Unreal JD. Cheering 50. Thank you. Need to swap this. I see you, Rob. We're going to get to you. And then TikTok, we're going to try harder today to not fall behind right in the beginning. So we fall behind in the beginning. People come in, they have a lot of questions, and then it slows down. So let's go. Unreal says, thank you for the team review today. Hey, thank you for being a sub. Thank you for being a sub. Antoversa says, how's it going today? Scuba Steve says the Fortnite was great. Thank you very much, guys. I feel confident in the ability to provide information here because it's just see a question, answer a question. But if it's be decent at Fortnite or entertaining with the gameplay, but also speaking, that will figure out. That will figure out. All right, Carnage, Bucky limited at practice again today. Yeah, that's a good sign that he's either this week or next week. Rob MC traded Jalen Warren for Bucky. Feel it'll be a good move later on. I think so as well. Seabass saying what's good. Hey, we're feeling good. I hope you're doing well. Easy dub. Should I start the Pats defense today or the Chargers? I like the Pats against the Jets. I like the Patriots against the Jets. I think Chargers are, I mean, they're both decent options. It's just kind of, do you want something to cheer for tonight? I would have them very close if I did a defensive ranking. Jets can turn the ball over. It'll be tough for them to score. Like Justin Fields hasn't thrown, I mean, I think he went a long time without throwing an interception this year, but that was the story of him with the Bears. If you need Justin Fields to have a game-winning drive, fourth quarter, you're down one score, you need Justin Fields, he will fumble or throw an interception. And I now realize I'm rambling after saying I wasn't going to fall behind on questions. So here we go. We covered Rob, Easy Dub, Seabass, were Trey Benson, RJ Harvey, Trevion ranked best to worst rest of season. Man, that one, I think you know where I'm going with the answer. Like, we don't know past this week. There's no Ramondre this week, so Trevion is really good. There's probably no J.K. Dobbins this week, so Harvey is solid. Benson would be the third out of those. Maybe if Harvey and Trevion stay in bigger roles, then Benson would be the third guy. I like the talent of those other guys more, but we don't know that. This team really likes Dobbins. The Patriots really like Ramondre. They will probably have roles when they come back. Bo Brown, I'm 8-2. I have Debo and Terry, and my trade deadline is next week. I've clinched the playoffs. Which one do I try to trade and for who? You try to trade both. You try to trade both either in a combo. You try to trade both and take whichever trade you can get. Bo Brown, I would be sending packages. Take basically every player in your lineup, unless you have Puka, who's already the pinnacle, or JSN at the top. I would be taking Debo and Terry and just running a bunch of trade options. I've got the video here, my ultimate trade tips. I'm sending 2-for-1s. I want that value into my starting lineup the closer I get to the playoffs, especially if you're 8-2 and you have your playoffs clinched. You just need to worry about winning 3 more weeks, and they aren't right now. So if you're trading Terry, you're trading Debo, I'm sending a 2-for-1 to get all of that value into your starting lineup. Think about each player on your team as just dollar values. So you want your starting lineup to be the highest dollar value possible. And once you're through buys and the playoffs are clinched, I don't care as much about bench value. Richie with the follow. Thank you, Richie. Let's throw this up here. We're feeling good. Got the energy up. Story time. Pick 2. Sutton, Henderson, Jones, Diggs, White. You have to pick one running back and one wide receiver. It's going to be Henderson with no Ramondre. Other players ahead are also out. And then you could go with Diggs tonight. Have we heard if Booty's back? If Booty's back, then it's more questionable. If Booty's out, then it's probably like a mix of Diggs and Mac Hollins and Kyle Williams as the option. So I would go with Diggs. Otherwise, Sutton's pretty good too. Sutton's still safe, but I don't know that it's a full trend that it's just Troy Franklin as the lead guy now, but it's trending that way. AKA Dot, what's up? I traded Marvin Dowdle last week for JSN. Did I do good? I think you did really well. I think that's a slam dunk. Michael Munoz, I have Chase Brown. We do cover everything. We're about to, we're not falling behind. We will eventually fall behind on things in Twitch and TikTok and YouTube, excuse me, Twitch and YouTube. We will fall behind. Post it once. We will get to it. Especially if you post it once. Michael Munoz, I have Chase Brown, Etienne, Vidal. Trade away Caleb and Etienne for Lamar and Ladd. I don't know if that leaves you too weak at running back. It does leave you weak at running back because Vidal would be gone by the time you're in the playoffs. So you would need to find someone else. So I would do something like that with Vidal, or I would do a follow-up trade where I'm sending Vidal and getting a more solidified running back. That's the type of ways that I would do that. Like the trade that you've proposed here, Caleb Williams and ETN for Lamar and Ladd. I like that. I like that quite a bit. I like Lamar more than Caleb, and I like Ladd more than ETN. And I might even say just do it. Now that I'm saying it again out loud, like yes, just do it. And then you've created a problem for yourself, but you brought in so much value that you can solve the problem. So I would be fine with that. VBZB. I know that's not what it is, but that's what I'm always going to say. Half PPR, unless you tell me a different way to say it, because I'm not going to say VBZ2X. I might just say VBZB because it's more fun. Hope all is well. Have a blessed Thursday from them. And then here's the question. Half PPR, pick a flex, please. Harvey, Chris Rodriguez, Parker Washington, Gainwell. If there's no Dobbins, I'm going with Harvey. Parker Washington could be okay as well, but if there's no Dobbins, I'm going Harvey. B. Arthur, what's your take on the future of Pittman and Pearson? Is there an issue with having them both rest of season? No, there's no issue having them both. It could be Downs losing a role. I'm slow to, I don't do like quick whip shifts in my take. So Pierce looking better for 2 weeks. I'm starting to adjust, or I'm adjusting and saying maybe Pittman's not the main option, but I would still be okay having both of them, and I would still be okay with Pittman as probably top as a solid wide receiver too, which is where I've had him most of the year, just a little bit down now. VBZB also says, do you think Gadsden will get good workload, or do I not risk it and just start Ertz? If he's practicing in full early on, I think you can go for it, but you also have an option for Ertz. Like, I don't know that it's that big of a point differential. So I would be fine if you went for it. I'd be fine if you just said, go with Ertz. But if I only had Gadsden, I would be starting him with no concerns. Skadnot starting Smith and Diggs at wide receiver, starting Kelsey. Do I flex Judy, Moore, or Hunter Henry? I would die with DJ Moore. But if you went with Jerry Jeudy, I would think that's okay. And those were the only options that I would really pick there. So I've got positional rankings for anyone watching. Here we are, starts, sits, ranks. They'll be at the top. Weekly rankings. I just need to add the old weeks. We've been doing these for a while. There's not just one. There's only one in the playlist. I've updated the YouTube for showing it on the live streams. I've got positional rankings for each week, and I would have DJ Moore comfortably ahead of Jerry Jeudy. I like Jerry Jeudy as a stash. So DJ Moore has had some bad weeks, but he's also found the end zone multiple times and been all right. So I don't just want to I don't want to heavily overreact to each individual week. Revenge says Bo and Ibuka for Achane. Yeah, sure. That's fine. I don't think that's too much. You probably have another quarterback. And if that's what you can do with one of your guys, like if you have Bo Nix and you can use him to move from Ibuka to Achane and that really helps you, I'm fine with using a player as a bit of a trade ticket. Yes, sir. Ski pick 2 for my flex, full PPR, Addison, Tet, Rashad White, or Aaron Jones. I think I'm Tet and Addison. I could also take Aaron Jones over Addison. I wouldn't worry too much on those two. Okay, Law, 4 a.m. for me. Oh, but I need the expert advice. 4 a.m. Way ahead. Way ahead. Eastern Europe? Would that be Eastern Europe? Let me know. 4 a.m., but I need the expert advice. Should I trade Bucky? No, that wouldn't be. No, I'm way wrong. That would be 7 hours backwards, not that many hours ahead. I'm way wrong. Tell me how wrong I am. 4 a.m. for me, but I need the expert advice. Should I trade Bucky and T for Rico? No. If Bucky is healthy and going, I assume that he'll be as good as Rico or right in that same range. And then you would have to add T Higgins on top just to get Rico. I think I would stay with Bucky. You have Judkins and Henderson for this week if Bucky doesn't go. We're at the point where we just break it down week by week. We only have a handful of weeks left. You can count them all on your fingers. So we just go week by week. Bucky's coming back pretty soon. You could stay with Judkins and Henderson for this week. Henderson is in a larger role, so we're good. Judkins has his main role. He's the main guy for the Browns. We're good there. And then you don't need Rico for this week. You could put T Higgins into your flex, and then next week you'll have a better lineup because you'll have Bucky and T, and you can make moves based on that. Stuba Steve, Judkins, and Gadsden to get Javonte. That's not too much to add. I probably like Javonte more than Judkins rest of season, and I bet everyone does. You're going up a couple spots, and it's only costing you Gadsden. I think you have another tight end. So sure, if you're not going to start Gadsden, that's kind of the stuff I want to be doing for him. Damare Watts, I traded Ladd for Waddle because Waddle has a great schedule. I think oh no, I didn't skip anyone. One, let me know if I said that right. I said Damare. Is it Demare? I want to get it right, and I feel like I would remember. You traded Ladd for Waddle because Waddle has a great schedule. I don't know how strongly I feel with the schedules. Like Miami just beat up on Buffalo. They beat up on Atlanta. Those were both tough matchups. I don't rate schedules that much in my rankings. I don't hate the trade. I just don't do a lot of trades like that where I'm trying to predict the schedule and also saying I just like this guy from the same tier more than someone else in the same tier. I like Ladd and Waddle about the same. Really solid wide receiver 2s. Mr. Luckaboo, is Breece Hall a good RB2 rest of season? Yeah, running back 2. Yes. I like his value dipped a little bit without Garrett Wilson, but he would still be an RB2. He just wouldn't be borderline RB1. And if he was in a decent offense, he would just be an RB1. Alex Savin, I traded Nico and Barkley for JSN and ETN week 4, then later traded ETN and Gadsden for Ibuka. What do you think? Nico and Barkley for JSN, even at that time, was probably a sell low on Nico. In the first couple of weeks of the season, people were really worried about Nico. Right now, is it too much? It might still be more than I would send. But then flipping Gadsden and ETN. Oh, I'm forgetting the ETN part of that. Yeah, the trade in week 4 is okay. The trade in week 4 is okay. We were probably a little higher on ETN then. And then the follow-up, Gadsden for Ibuka. Gadsden and ETN for Buka. I like it. 5-0 Mac, I got ads, so I don't know if you answered this, but start Drake May tonight or start Lamar on Sunday. You can't go wrong. I mean, the answer is really trade one of them. Lamar against the Browns was shut down for a half and then just bombed it all over the Browns. So, like, which half do we believe going forward? They changed their game plan. I have Drake May at 2 and Lamar at 5. So, really, your best answer here, 5-0 Matt, is like just ship one of them. These are both incredibly valuable pieces. We were drafting Lamar second round. We were drafting Josh Allen second round. Drake May's up in that tier now. Wouldn't you just want a different second round? Like, if you could have Lamar and Drake London or Lamar and Nico Collins instead of putting Drake May on your bench, or flip it, have Drake May and Nico Collins or Drake May and Lad McConkey instead of putting Lamar on your bench. I think that's the better move. Michael Munoz, should I do Kittle and Vidal for Dowdle? Yeah, if you don't need Kittle, you have a solid tight end. That crossover is not bad. Bliff, someone offered me Judkins for Bucky and Rashad White. Would you do it? I think I would just stay. I would trust that I like Bucky more than Judkins. EN 1022 league winning trade traded Dak and Tet for Justin Jefferson and Javonte in a super flex. You're starting May and Danny Dimes. Yeah, that's not bad. I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's bad at all. You had 3 quarterbacks. You found 2 of them for probably pretty cheap. Daniel Jones was likely $1 or $2 in a super flex auction or wherever you took him equivalently in a draft, end of the draft. I think that's good. Same thing as I was just saying for who was that? 5-0 Matt. You have an extra player, you have a lot of value that's on your bench, and you moved it into your lineup. Strong on TikTok, McCarthy or Love. I did just pick a person's name and did not mean to find someone who had an example of, if you have a question that is just which quarterback do I start or which running back, we have that in a video. I'm going to do a little bit more to just point that and try to catch, like Dan Word, start Gadsden or Ferguson. It would be there. So we can get caught up on more people and hopefully get more information to more people. Scuba Steve, technically it would be VBZB. I can't do all that. The names on Twitch become tougher to say. YouTube, it's usually just someone's name, like Chris Bliss. I can say Chris Bliss and it rhymes. Michael Munoz, we did that one. Bliff, we covered Bliff. We covered EN, Nathan Shepard, Rashad White, BTJ, or Pearsall in the flex, half PPR. If Pearsall's playing, it'll be Pearsall for me. K on the stick. Drop DJ Moore for Troy Franklin. We're into that range. I would think DJ Moore still has value somewhere that you could do a 2-for-1 trade. Like K on the stick. Doesn't someone pick up DJ Moore? I would pick up DJ Moore if he was dropped. Unless it's, an 8-team league or a 10-team league, maybe not then. But if I'm in a 12-team league, I think we still got to have DJ Moore somewhere. And if you're thinking of dropping a player like that, send out like 30 trades where you just take DJ Moore and Sutton, DJ Moore and Pittman as the receivers on your team and see if you can get a better receiver for a combo. And then if no one replies, then it's okay to move on. But you want to make sure that you can't get anything for the guy. Mitchell, okay, on Twitch, we're starting to fall behind. On Twitch and on YouTube, we will cover everything. Do not post it again. We will get to it. I'm reading ones from about 10 minutes behind, but we will get there. We will get there. Mitchell Mello, should I accept this trade? I received McConkey and Achane for JSN and Henderson. Yeah, you could. You received McConkey and I like the JSN and Henderson side. You need a running back. You have one that starts tonight. The game is week to week, Mitchell, and you have a very good running back for tonight with Henderson. So I would just stay where I'm at. And then if you want to make the trade next week, you can. Pater might have made a mistake yesterday. Gibbs came available on the low, and I'm in second place in Dynasty. Traded Saquon and 2 firsts for Gibbs. Did I overpay? A little bit. I don't know your settings, but a smidge. But it's also not terrible. It's not terrible. I mean, if you wanted to, you could get 2 first-round picks and something back for Gibbs right after the year. So if it helps you win and then you get 2 players or or 2 picks and one that's lower than, or you get an amazing running back and a first round pick back, I think we're okay. Chris Bliss, Tet for Pearsall. I couldn't pick which one I like more going forward. D-Sal, what's up? I trade Jettis, Goddard, and Woody for Rome, Bowers, and Pearsall. I don't like splitting Justin Jefferson there. What do we get? You're going from Goddard to Bowers. We hope that Bowers fully bounces back. And then Woody to Pearsall. I think I'm staying with Justin Jefferson there. All right, we covered Eli, start Dowdle or London. Scuba Steve gifting a sub to D-Sal. D-Sal has been one of the top gifters on Twitch, on TikTok, made his way to Twitch. It is so hard to say all of the things correctly. Twitch, YouTube, Kick, Discord, TikTok, and not mix up which one you mean. Josiah, start Dowdle or London? You got to make some sort of trade if that's a question for you, Josiah. I'm probably going London with a slight edge, but there's somewhere else we got to be combining something or if you have that much value that one of those guys would be on the bench, let's try to find a way to get that into the starting lineup somewhere. B. Arthur, start Breece Hall with a really bad matchup or Woody with a good matchup that is similar to his breakout. I have Breece Hall ahead, but you're right. They're close. I've got Breece Hall at 21 tonight and Woody Marks at 25. So yeah, we've gotten them. We've done the same exercise. Bad matchup, good matchup, brought them together. Strong is still asking McCarthy or Love. We're just gonna, you can't help yourself. I'll just put that there. I typically would still go with Breece Hall, and we're hoping for like a couple big plays. In general, the Patriots do have a really good rushing defense. Breece is a really good player. If you wanted to go with Marks, I wouldn't think you were wild. I wouldn't think you're wild. Broly 619 got a trade offer to receive Rice. You have Chase and Ibuka. Is Rice a big enough upgrade from Ibuka rest of season? I mean, I don't know what the trade is. Is he an upgrade over Ibuka? A little bit, but I don't know what you're sending. Biggins, would you take Bucky and Rashad or Judkins rest of season? I'll take Bucky. Dirty Lettuce, start ETN or Cortland Sutton. I feel safe with ETN. If we're worried about the trend with Cortland Sutton and you just want safety, I think you're fine going ETN. Jojo, start May or Mahomes this week, and which of them would you keep based on their playoff schedules? I would keep whichever one I couldn't sell, and I have May ahead this week. Eli says he's from Australia. That's how far behind I am on the chats. I'm 11 minutes behind. All right, we're going speed. Merrick, start 2 running backs and flex 1. Chase Brown, Judkins, Henderson, and Devonta Smith. Start 2 running backs and flex 1. Okay. I mean, if you're worried about Henderson, then I would flex Devonta Smith. Otherwise, I would be fine going Chase Brown, Judkins, Henderson. 5-0 Mats. You can start Drake May tonight. I have him slightly ahead, 5-0 Matt, but the answer is you got to sell one. Anto Versa, should I trade Judkins for Chase Brown and Woody Marks? Sure, that's fine. I think that I like that. Bringing in the 2. I might just like Chase Brown the same or more than Judkins, and you get another player that you could move in a deal. I like that. I think you got to then move Woody Marks. Keenan Dolik, would you trade away ETN for Bowers? Yes. Yep. I like that value. Fine. I would rather have Bowers. I think he has more value. Even if you need to fill in other running back situations, you could do that with how much value you gained. Hey, Herbo on TikTok, start Breece or Aaron Jones. I would lean towards Breece a little bit. Got Breece at 21, Aaron Jones at 23. Keenan Dolik, Raiders schedule looks brutal for the fantasy playoffs. I don't worry a ton about that, especially with a player like Bowers. Ricardo Castillo, would you trade Debo and Chase Brown for Waddle and Henderson? Would I trade Debo and Chase Brown for Waddle and Henderson? Yeah, I could do that. Wibrix and PPR. I have Genty and Dowdle starting wide receiver or Gadsden in the flex. You have Genty and Dowdle starting wide. Okay, so why would that matter about starting wide receiver or Gadsden in the flex? Drop White or Manunga. Okay, here's the real question. I feel like you could have told me your mother's hairdresser's name in this first sentence and it would have mattered as much. Drop White or Manungai for Benson. Probably White, who's likely to lose a role that he has this week, but you could also shoot. Biggin says Bucky might not be fully healthy rest of season. You could also just send White and another player to the Bucky owner and get him someone starting now. And then Krusky, Merritt, or Algier, who becomes more valuable? Probably, I mean, Krusky Merritt has more week to week upside, but then Algier for if you had what's his name? Bijan would be a good flex. Nate says thoughts on Dowdle. I've traded for him in multiple leagues cheaply, i.e. Vidal in a second. Vidal in a second is great. Vidal in a second is really good. I saw a video yesterday saying like you could trade him for a late first as well if you wanted to. If you thought you could do multiple trades and go Vidal for a late first and then send that first for someone who gives you a lot of production this year, that could insulate that value. But Dowdle, his production's really good. I think you got him for cheap. And if you just use that for this year and figure it out afterwards, know that you have a problem coming, I think that's fine as well. So, like, they might re-sign him, and the Panthers could cut Chuba and not take too much of a penalty, and they could just sign Dowdle. It could be Jonathan Brooks there. They could draft someone else and say this was just a one-year thing for us. All of that is realistic. Dirty Lettuce trade Cortland for Garrett Wilson. Yeah, you can. I would say that you probably drafted Cortland in a spot where you could make that flip and hopefully have Garrett Wilson healthy and performing a little bit better. Murkio, start 2 running backs and flex 1. Didn't we cover that? Yeah, we did. Nameless, let's hope Pearsall's back this week. Yes, yes, yes. Chugs 14, help with 3, please. Barkley, Javonte Williams, Dowdle, Henderson, and Genty. Ooh. I've got Genty playing the Cowboys at 12, Dowdle playing the Falcons, who are a tough defense, at 14. So we're and then Trevion at 15. Was he in your mix? Yeah. So for me, it would be Genty. You could also just roll with Dowdle, who's been really good. It's just a tougher matchup, but that's how I have him ranked. Jackals, would you do Kincaid and Tez for Schultz in the Lions defense? You need a solid defense and you have the Jaguars. I guess Kincaid and Tez for like, why are we bringing in Dalton Schultz? I think I in that situation, I would look for something else. This feels like why I think Kincaid and Tez could just get you more and you could find a defense a different way. That would be my thoughts. I also like if you did it, it's not league crushing or league altering. The players being moved are not insane. Piojo, what do you think about Dowdle for Nico? I think it's fine. I saw a lot of we did trade values again today. Oh, here's the one from today. I think we did Rico Dowdle in this video, and multiple people have traded Rico Dowdle for Nico Collins. Just Rico for Nico, and I think that's the high end of what you could get for him. You're hoping to have Bucky back in the next 2 weeks. I think that's fine. Obred, who do I move? Who do I keep? People are Kelsey, Ferguson, and Gadsden. Obred, we get this one a ton. The answer is whichever one you can move. Whichever one you can move without getting a tight end back. That's the most realistic answer for you. There's a lot of people who don't want to trade for a tight end without sending theirs away in an up tier or a down tier. And if you have 3, I don't want one back. So whichever one you can sell and not get one back, that's the one that you move. The one and only 2001, I got offered Jacobs and Rice for Christian McCaffrey. That's enough for me. That would be enough for me to move Christian McCaffrey. Jackals, would you start Woody Marks over Breece Hall? I personally wouldn't. I would be fine if you did. Prince Maury, Rome, or Devontae Adams for Jefferson? Rome or Devontae Adams for Jefferson? Yeah, I would send Rome for Jefferson. All right, Eli in Australia. Oh, yeah. I knew we had someone from Australia. I mean, we've probably gone over that before, haven't we? Jake Vargas, Algier, Tyrone Tracy, or Tajay Spears. Probably Spears for this week. I would want to stash Tracy because he could have some real value upside. If the split that we saw the last 2 weeks goes away with a new head coach, I would be stashing Tracy just to see that. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to hold him for a week. And then Algier, like only if I have Bijan. He could get into flex tier for some people, but I might start Spears this week, stash Tracy, and if I had to cut someone, it would be Algier. Parker Rogers, Otten, or Theo. I think I have Otten. I have Otten one spot ahead. We also have those in the ranks. You could check out if you just want your question answered right away. It's the same thoughts. It's the same brain. It's the same chair. It's the same room. It's a different flannel shirt and a different hat. But I think I have that hat right behind me. You could get your answer right now by hitting the ranks. But broken down game by game, it's easy to find your players. Connor Daly, London, and Chase Brown for Puka. Yeah, I could move those. If I have depth and that's the only consolidation I could make, I would do it. I could do it. Pappy OV, do you think I could get Javonte Williams for Addison and Vidal? You could, but there's one. I mean, you're asking one person and you really only need to ask one other person. You pick the wrong one. Just go ask the guy. He's not going to shoot you if you say no. You're not going to get thrown out of the league if he says no. I don't think it's insane. Woodbrickson, trade Nico and T for Puka. Trade Nico and T for Puka. Yeah. Nate says, what could I get for Rashad White? 3rd round pick, maybe? Yeah. I don't know that you'll get a ton more than that. And if I have him, I'd probably be fine just swapping it out if I'm not starting him. Hamza Cuddy? Hamza Cuddy or Hamza Cutie? Start 3, non-PPR, Judkins, Derrick Henry, Brees Hall, Trevion, Henderson, or Vidal. Probably Judkins, Henry, and Henderson, who could probably run a little bit more than Brees. We might expect more breakaway runs. Brees Hall would get some of his value from PPR, from a couple receptions tonight. Chugs, you think Monungai and Waddle for Allen was a good deal? Like Josh Allen? Sure. If you didn't have a quarterback, yeah. McMagic TTV. Oh, wait, we'll get to you, McMagic. It looks like I missed Piojo. What do you think? Dowdle and Dobbs for Devonta Smith and Burrow? That's not insane. Don't you have a quarterback, Piojo? If you have one, I don't want to bring in another without sending one away. So unless you have a follow-up deal to send one away, I'm not sure when he's coming back. Oh, Killa, who could I target at running back for Devontae Adams? I could pair with Waddle, Vidal, Ken Walker. Oh, Killa, we have that as a video. So it takes a couple minutes to build out ideas for each question like that, which is why we have a video. Here's a 9-minute video explaining how I do it. And this is the real process that I use. Pappy OV, I meant Devonta Smith and Vidal for Javonte Williams. Is that okay? Yeah. I would take Javonte Williams there. Joven says, thanks for the team review. Nice. Got Henry for Algier, Debo, and AD Mitchell. Are you kidding? You traded Debo, Algier, and AD Mitchell, and you got Derrick Henry? That's a very good one. That's a very good one. That's one of those where if I put that in a video, I couldn't put that in a video. People would just comment. I would get someone who followed, but then commented and said, these aren't realistic trades. But if you got that, that's a good one. Eric Miller, I have Bijan, Jacobs, and Kyron. This is just your team. Who can I move Kyron for to upgrade wide receivers? I mean, we've same idea. Just trade him in a package with, and this is the video of how I would determine which wide receivers you could get. Or stand by. I mean, you should always be shopping your players, Eric. So the question really shouldn't ever be stand by. You should always have at least, if you're not going to do a load of trading and a load of work of tracking values, pick like 3 players and try to gauge what the other managers in your league would give them for you. Nathan Shepard, what sort of player can I target trading away Pearsall and BTJ? All right, we're 3 in a row. We're 3 in a row. This is why we don't answer those. Here's a video that says how to do that. D-Love, good morning. What's up, man? Guy or girl? I'm in an IDP league. Do I answer defensive player questions as well? I've never been in one. So I wouldn't answer. I try to stay away from those rather than give bad advice. Or give bad uninformed advice. I'll give you guys bad advice, but it'll be informed. It'll just be wrong. Informed and wrong. But I wouldn't do uninformed and wrong. I'll try to stay away from that. Texas Tejano sending chilies. I see Tejano's question. We're going to cover that. We'll also say thank you to David Diaz, Nate, OVO Storm, Connor Daly dropping gifts as well. Boring sending roses. And I can't forget user 237 with the rose. We've covered each one there. Thank you guys very much. Texas, hey, Otto. I got offered BTJ. I would stash him, but they want Jacoby Myers and Mike Wilson and some M. Wilson. Is it Mike? It does it. Yeah. Yes. I would send those and just hold BTJ. Myers for BTJ. If you're stashing Myers, let's take the bet that we can get a better player with BTJ. User 898, are we on Discord or TikTok for questions? User 898, I will be very transparent with you. We're at the point we've got 150 watching, so I do go with the questions that benefit me the most. We try to answer as much as we can. I feel like if I just keep speak, I can only say so many words in the 3 hours and answer so many questions. So if I can filter them, Twitch and YouTube go first, and then TikTok comes after. And if you post on Twitch or YouTube, we do get to everything. And if TikTok numbers drip, someone else will come in. But yes, we do get to them. It's just at the start of the stream, we fall behind on Twitch and YouTube. Like right now, I'm 10 minutes behind there, and then however many minutes behind on TikTok. Eric Miller, we covered that one. Mr. Luckaboo, is a 2-quarterback league. Is in a 2 QB league, is Dak a good quarterback for playoffs? Yeah. Isn't he still he's definitely still top 8 producer, right? On the year. Quarterback 10 on the year. It'll even out as the final people have their buys. But yeah, he's very good for playoffs. Zero Killer thought about pairing Vidal and Devontae or Wanda. I think we covered that one. Parker Rogers, start 2. Rashad White, Theo Johnson, Otten, Trey Tucker, Knight. And who's a better start, Theo or Otten? Who's a better start? I have Otten 1 single spot ahead. So does that mean he's a better start? No, just means my dumb brain likes him a teensy bit better. And then I would start Rashad White if there's no Bucky. And if I only have to start 2, it might be those guys. I'm not that excited about Trey Tucker. Bam Knight could be a third, would be the option if White wasn't going because of Bucky. Piojo, would you trade Dowdle or Kyron? Who do you think I can get more value out of? Just ask your league. I did a trade value video of real trades on Dowdle this morning. So we've got that one. And then Kyron, I think I did last week. So we've got that of real trades, but it just comes down to who's in your league and who they like more, Piojo. London and Chase Brown for Puka. Connor, I think we hit that one. Yeah, I think that's fine. If that's the only consolidation you can do, I think it's fine. J. Thomas Brooks, now that Chuba is basically a handcuff, is he worth holding onto or drop for Blake Corum? It's the same thing as Blake Corum. You hope that he gets a drive and hope that he gets in the end zone. And I guess I like Blake Corum a little bit better, but they're both handcuffed here. Cali Dog on TikTok, trade Odunze for Bucky. Yeah, I think that's fine. Made 19 trades so far. Yeah, Bijan, Williams, CeeDee, Jeddah Zabuka. I just recognize Cali Dog from a daily watcher on TikTok. Yeah, I think that's a fine move. Odunze for Bucky. I think once Bucky's back, you could probably trade him for a better receiver than Odunze. SpongeBob Freak Pants with the follow on TikTok. Thank you, SpongeBob. All right, it's 11:27 on the timestamps. So that is how far behind we are. Dallas Lamb, I see multiple. Oh, that's just multiple follow-ups. We will get to everything. Just drop it once. If you posted it twice, go in and delete it so I don't have to see it. Parker Rogers, we covered. Piojo, we covered. Connor Daly, London and Chase Brown, we got. Zero Killer, we covered. J. Thomas Brooks, now that, yep. George, Gaston, Kelsey, or Loveland, rest of season. I mean, I feel the safest that I know what Kelsey is, and I think you would feel the same as well. It's probably Gadsden ahead, but it could just as easily be Loveland. That's when George, we don't know the future. It could be Loveland. You could go with Kelsey rest of season. For me, usually a question like that is someone veiling their question, tweaking up the wording of their question. And what they're really asking is, which one should I trade? Trade the one that you can. If you have 3 of them, trade the one that you can get a deal for without having to take a tight end back. Foamy Shrum, Chase Brown, Tet, and Franklin, or Kyron, Corum, and Jamison Williams. The Tet and Franklin side for me. That's my personal preference on that one. It's not It's not a wild deal. I mean, really the main difference here is I like Tet over Corum. The other ones kind of line up fine. Chase Brown is not that different than Kyron. Franklin, a very different type of player, but I would like him similarly to Jamison Williams. And then I just like Tet way more than Blake Corum. Alex Amon-Ra for London and Aaron Jones. No, I would just stay with Amon-Ra. I don't know why we would do a split like that. If you need a second running back like Aaron Jones, you should just, like, I saw people sending Troy Franklin for Aaron Jones. Isn't your starting lineup way better if you just took a player like Troy Franklin and traded for Aaron Jones, Woody Marks, Kareem Hunt, players in that range, Rashad White for a week, if you can, Kamani Vidal while he still has value. I'm not sending my best player to solve an RB2 weakness if I could just solve it with a trash player. Watermelon Star 2, AJ Brown, Brees Hall, Aaron Jones. I'm AJ Brown and Brees Hall. Oh, Brad, who do I move? The one that you can, Dallas Lamb. I traded Drake London for Bijan, my wide receiver. I traded Drake London for Bijan. I like Bijan. I think that move is fine. Prince Mori, who should I trade for? Jefferson, Adams, or Rome? Do you have the option? Prince Mori? Feel myself getting a little out of funk. So who should you trade for? Jefferson, Devontae Adams, or Rome? I guess I like Devontae Adams a little bit more, but I wouldn't worry a ton about it. If they made me trade Devontae Adams and I got Justin Jefferson, that's fine. Trades go two ways. You don't necessarily get to pick. Zero Killer, what running back could I target with Devontae Adams? I think we did Devontae Adams within the last week, and his value would be the same, Zero Killer. So you can check that one. We have that on TikTok or a YouTube short. Alex J. Hampton for Emeka. My Baker's my quarterback. I have Pickens and T. Hampton for Emeka. Buka's fine. Rice Rockstar, Brees or Harvey? I think I have. Did I get Harvey ahead? I've got Harvey at 19 and Brees at 21, if there is no Dowdle. Chugs, would Barkley be bad to sit over Henderson this week? Bad? No. Would I do it? Also, no. I would go with Saquon. But it's not bad. I mean, that's kind of the game. And you're within the ballpark. It's not insane. Alex J, should I look to move T with Joe Burrow coming back? I'm sorry. No. I think you're fine with Joe Burrow coming back. I'm sorry about the face I made. Prince Mori asked a question twice, didn't realize how far behind we were. Why would that matter? Just as a follow-up, like, why would that matter? Why would that matter? Why would that matter? Well, instead of answering the question 2 times or reading it, why would that matter? Watermelon Baker for Judy Franklin, for Judy or Franklin. And then Jake Vargas, we're going to jump to you as well. Watermelon Baker for Judy and Franklin. I would try to get more. I feel like he's worth more than that. And I don't really want to bring in, I think he might be worth more than that. Is Troy Franklin worth a second? Yeah, I think so, Nate. There's a lot of second round picks that don't ever do anything. Troy Franklin's still young and there's a reason to believe that he will have value. Wouldn't you rather have Troy Franklin than Luther Burden right now? Or some second round picks from last year, or like Jack Besh, a second round pick from this year? Second round rookie pick for people who don't play Dynasty. Eccentric Phase was offered London for Saquon and Devontae. I think he would round out my team nicely. You would have to send Saquon and Devontae to get Drake London. I don't know why you have to add more than Saquon. Probably run away with the season having Saquon, Jacobs, Bijan. Yeah, I wouldn't send more than Saquon for Drake London. Prince Mori says, shouldn't that be more reason to keep him? Yes, it should be more reason to keep him, Prince Mori. And I made a mean face when I read it, and I feel bad. Damare Watts, Ibuka, and Rome for JSN. Okay. I don't know that that's the first combo that I would look for. But if that's the only consolidation you can make this late into the season, okay, and you have the depth. The great Bardino traded Bowers for Judkins and Javonte Williams. What do you think? Sure. I think that's not terrible. If you get 2 running backs and then you have like equity to do other things, especially if you have another tight end. You got Laporta. Yeah. Parker Rogers, we covered that one. Prince Mori, definitely. Piojo, we are still 12 minutes behind. Piojo, current quarterbacks are Hurts, Bo, and Flacco. If Burrow comes back, I lose Flacco, and I don't know if I can trust Bo right now. You don't need to, Piojo. If you have Jalen Hurts, you don't even need any of those other guys. Trust Bo to do what? He'll be on your bench. I don't care if Bo scores 0 points. He's on my bench. DeHandro, I traded Drake London and Sutton for Bijan. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. D-Love, I traded Vidal and Debo and received Rice. D-Love, I don't believe you. I mean, I do believe you, but that's a very good one. Landon Brooks, Chase Brown, and BTJ for Saquon in Dynasty? Not for me. I'm not doing a lot of, how much? I think Chase Brown's production is plenty good in Dynasty that I don't want to add BTJ, who's way, way down, sell super low on BTJ, still young, just for Saquon, who, 28 years old. Milan, Marv and Javonte for Ibuka and Pittman. Are we panicking on Marv? Would I move Javonte for Ibuka and Marv for Pittman? I could. Are we panicking on Marv? I'm not panicked. I don't panic about something I can't change. He's just out for 2 weeks. And then he hopefully comes back after appendicitis surgery. Joe Lake, would you try to sell high on Travion Henderson and Nico Collins? I never think that way, Joe Lake. I've just always tried to sell everyone. Just always try to sell everyone. Nike Rise, someone in my league apparently trying to trade AJ Brown, DeMarcado for ETN, is trying to trade AJ Brown and DeMarcado for ETN and Rome. I mean, you could try to do a lot of stuff. That doesn't mean you'll get it. I don't think you should get that. Mateo Castro, should I trade Hampton and Tet for Ibuka? Emeka Ibuka. Yeah, you could. Yeah. If you have Jonathan Taylor at HN and they're both through their bye weeks, and you're not scared of injuries, like there's plenty of times I'm not scared of injuries. I'll find a different running back or just grab the handcuff for Jonathan Taylor and move that stuff into my lineup. I don't think it's a bad idea. DeHandro traded Drake London and Sutton for Bijan. I think we covered that one. Zero Killa, we covered. Noah Kelly. Would you trade Stevenson and Shakir for ETN? Yeah, I would. D Hurts with Warren on bye. Would I stream Mason Taylor or Colson Loveland this week? I'm pretty sure it's Colson Loveland for me, but check the ranks. We've got a ranks video right here where we would have that. It's broken down by game. You can just hit the timestamps and see where we have each player from each team. Alex J, not sure. Lost connection. Hampton for Ibuka. Yeah, that's fine. Nameless, Parker Washington and Ottenby Fair for Judkins. I wouldn't do it. Guy only has 1 tight end. That's what I like. And a weak wide receiver room. Yeah, I mean, see what he says. But I would be surprised if that one went through. Looks like we got subs from Harrison, Noah Van Collie on YouTube. Thank you, guys. Tara R6, TX Ra. Who should I start, Barkley or Judkins? I'm conflicted. I would have them very close. I have Barkley at 7 and Judkins at 11. So that's how I would do it. But they're close enough that you don't have to follow it. They get close to interchangeable. I just like Barkley more. That Tommy Boy, Vidal and Judy for Rico. Yep, I would rather have Rico. eBay's traded away Vidal and Benson for AJ Brown. Good move or bad move with Brown's recent comments? I wouldn't worry about his comments. There's plenty of times wide receivers complain or say, get rid of me, or even say, I'm not playing or I'm not playing. It's not anything that I think you'll do more harm to yourself playing fantasy listening to that than you would if you just ignored it. K Mercer, then Dat Tommy Boy. Start Marks over Tet this week, despite what the coaches are saying about backfield usage. I did want to say that. The way I don't listen a ton to what coaches say about backfield usage or player usage. I think of it, it's not a great analogy. Like I run distance running. And I know I start hot on the races. That doesn't mean like knowing it and saying it doesn't mean that when I get to the starting line and hit go that I'm not going to start hot again. It's the same people making the same decisions. They didn't want to use Marks. Marks got used. They said they didn't want to use him and that they probably won't again. They've said it multiple times. There's a good chance they use him. Coaches say stuff like this all the time. We really want to get this guy involved. Like you're the one who decides it and you don't make that decision when it's game time. So I wouldn't worry a ton about what the coaches are saying about Marks. It might be true, but it's really just over the multiple years of coaches saying things, there isn't really a rhyme or reason or a correlation to what then happens. That Tommy Boy starter sit Mason Taylor and Brees Hall today. I mean, we've got ranks that go with start and sits, broken down game by game. It's the first couple minutes of the video for the Jets today. I'm likely starting Brees Hall, but you might have someone better. I have him at 21 on the week for running backs. And then Mason Taylor he's in this blob of startable tight ends. I have him at 21 on the week. There's plenty of guys that I would put ahead of him, but they're not miles ahead. They're centimeters ahead. Who's a good defense to target for the fantasy playoffs from Nathan Shepard? I haven't looked. D. Collie, what is Burrow's value at the moment? I have him on IR and I have Daniel Jones as a starting quarterback. We can pull that one up for you. I haven't done one recently on Joe Burrow. Sounds like I should tomorrow morning. But here's what people have sent Joe Burrow for in the past couple days. There you go. Brock Purdy. I don't know why we would do that. Devin Neal. That seems really low. Joe Burrow and some parts for Devonta Smith. I don't know that Joe Burrow's doing much lifting in this. Could you get Devonta Smith for Deebo Samuel and Zach Charbonnet? It's close. And then Joe Burrow puts it over the edge. Not a ton of value, which seems a little low. Arturo Delgado, is Javonte Williams or Brees Hall with Olave a good trade for McBride? I think it's a lot. If you don't have a player or if you don't have a tight end, yeah. We've got Nate on TikTok saying some of the actual trades are so silly. And I ignore those. But even when I find ones that like there's a lot of these here that would not make the video. If I did a video on Joe Burrow, I would say something like Xavier Worthy would make the video, and I might do one tomorrow and he'll just be in it, depending on how many more other trades come. I do filter out most of the craziest ones, but then you still get people saying these trades are insane. I would never do them. Like someone did. You should be checking to see. I don't know why people argue and say no one would ever do these trades when someone did, and it is okay advice to say you can check in your league if you could get that trade or get something slightly more fair. Arturo, I think we covered that one. We covered Nathan. Tara, start Barkley or Judkins. We covered Lucas Quack. I want to trade Swift before the deadline this week. Who should I target? I mean, pair Swift with any of the guys on your team and do an up tier. We've got a video here, Lucas Quack on YouTube. It's under my ultimate trade tips. If you swipe into the page, the channel page, we've got a playlist called My Ultimate Trade Tips. Here is what I think you should do with DeAndre Swift. Pair him with any one of your starters, like Pitts, Andrews, David Montgomery, and just get an up tier for a much better player. Jose Laura, who should I start on flex between Devonta Smith, Addison, or T. Higgins in full PPR? Probably, I'm not sure who I have ahead. I think I have Devonta Smith ahead. I have T. Higgins at 17 and Smith at 19. You can hear context on that in the ranks where we would go through each game. Clarity, start Chase Brown or Rashad White. I would start Chase Brown. Cool. Would you trade Derrick Henry and Nico for Jahmyr Gibbs and Sutton? I could. Nico is my wide receiver 4, so I have some depth to up tier running back. If you describe it that way, yes. And thank you for adding that context. There are times where I'll do a two for two, getting the best player if it's making my backup a little bit worse. And the way I would describe that is I'm just pushing more value into my starting lineup. Nate says my trade deadline is this week, so I appreciate it. Sutton all done for dynasty purposes. You never know. mean, he's only what, 29? He could definitely still do stuff next year. I think we write guys off a little bit too early. Says underwhelming in the win on Thursday. That game was awful. It was a 10-7 win. And then the game before that was Houston with a very tough defensive matchup. He could be fine against Kansas City. He could be fine going forward. He could be fine next year at 31. I haven't pulled up his contract to see how cuttable he is for Dynasty. But there are some guys where you get to the age where you say, like, this guy's just finishing his career on my roster. And I think Cortland Sutton gets close to that, where what you would get back in return isn't enough to not just see what he is. And Michael R, PPR, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Which would you be more likely to trade if you had Franklin or Parker? I would never think that way. I would be more likely to trade the one that I could trade in my league. If nobody wants Troy Franklin, then I'm not trading him. If somebody wants Parker, then I'm trading him. I would never look at the 2 guys and say, oh, well, I only want to trade this one, or I want to trade this one more. I want to trade the one I can. And there's only 11 people in your league. And if they don't like the Broncos or like those guys or like Parker, then you can't move them. So I move the one that I can. And that's why you're not finding me saying my league doesn't trade. Like, nobody trades in my league because they're all wondering which of these guys they should hold on to and which they should even offer in a trade. Just offer both. If you trade well, it's in your favor to just be open to moving everyone. Sammy, I got offered Judkins and Hampton for White, Henderson, and Pickens. Quinshon Judkins and Hampton, and you send Rashad White, Henderson, and Pickens. Do you take it? I mean, we could almost cross White out here. Am I taking Judkins for Henderson? We don't know the future. I would have them somewhat similar, and then Hampton for Pickens. Like, you could do this. If you can eat the injury on Hampton, I don't know that we're getting a massive value gain doing it. Harrison, I've got Rice, Amon-Ra. Who would I look to move? Whichever one I could, Harrison. Cade Schneider looking to trade Achane on a bye week. What's his trade value? You're right. I haven't done Achane in a while. Maybe I'll pull this up on screen and then I will write down that Achane will be in the video tomorrow. So we will do, here's this on screen and we're going to come right back to it. We've been doing daily trade value ones on YouTube. We've been doing 3 a day on TikTok and then putting 5 into a video on YouTube with player values. So HN will be in the YouTube one tomorrow, and then I'll bring this back up for you. Bodo died twice. What's up, Bodo? Trade Breece Hall and Fannin for Tyler Warren? I don't think it's insane. I'm not sure like we're getting a smash win value, but if it makes your roster better, there's plenty of spots where that's okay. We don't have to say someone wins a trade. Jose, also full PPR. Who should I start between Judkins and Ladd for flex this week? I might go with Ladd. PVL, how's it going? It's going okay. I'm down to 8 minutes behind. I got offered Myers and Gadsden for Vidal. Your running backs would be Ken Walker and Achane with Hampton on IR. Your running backs would be Ken Walker and Achane for now. Do you have a tight end PVL overlord? I would look at this deal and say, Vidal is going away. In 4 weeks, I can have Myers and Gadsden and a running back problem now, or I can have a running back for this week and nothing in the future. And I might just take the future value and solve that now problem after making that trade. Lickma US, start Tez Johnson or Christian Watson. I guess a slight edge to Tez Johnson, but none of these edges that further down, once we're into wide receiver 3s, wide receiver 4s, it all just kind of becomes a blob of players who could score the same amount of points. So it's all tiny, tiny edges in those decisions. Like the difference between running back 30 and running back 45 is not the same. It's 15 spots, but it's not the same as the difference between wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 15. Iron season, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Kamara for, okay, it's a trade. It's a trade question. Lamb, Brown, Kamara for Bucky Pittman Tet. I want the Lamb side. I want the Lamb side. Tara, what do you mean when you have a player at 7 and 11? Positional rankings. So it would be, we do start, sits, ranks. We break the games down game by game, and then we put a ranking for each player. So it would be the player I'm 7th most comfortable starting. So I would start Saquon, and then if I had Saquon and Derrick Henry, I have Henry at 8, so I would start Saquon ahead of Henry. And then I would start Henry ahead of Kyren Williams, who I have at 9, then Javonte Williams at 10, and then Judkins at 11. So that's all that would mean. I see that Scuba Steve helped you out as well, but I figured there might be someone else who didn't know. And the goal is always here. Sometimes I forget it when I'm responding to the questions. The goal is answer every question, answer as many questions as we can for players of all levels. Eccentric phase, would I trade Swift and Benson for Kyren and Juwan Jennings? Yeah. Your running backs would be ETN, Chase Brown, Saquon, Hampton, Kyren Corum. Yeah, that's a ton of running backs. So I would do that. I would trade Swift and Benson because if I've got, you don't need 7 running backs. You need 2 and sometimes a flex. So I want the best 2. So if I can move Swift and Benson and get Kyren, and then I guess Juwan Jennings tags along and says he got traded too, I really only care about getting Kyren there and doing what I can to start rolling that snowball up, the snowball of value, like up into your starting lineup. Like Swift and Benson on the bench doesn't mean that much, but if you can get Kyren into your lineup, that's great. Jose, sorry to bother again. It's never a bother. It's almost never a bother. It's almost never a bother, but this is not a bother. On full PPR, who can I start as a flex between Harvey, Judkins, and Ladd? I think I would probably, if it's me, I think I'm just putting Ladd in. There's definitely upside with Harvey and Judkins, but there's also upside with Ladd. And I feel much better about Ladd hitting a certain floor compared to Harvey and Judkins. Joven, any receivers around the Henry tier you feel can be better than him in the flex for playoffs? Maybe Nico Collins. If you could get Drake London for only a little bit, like, sure, yeah, that range, that would be really good. But I think you just did that massive deal to get Derrick Henry. I mean, that's also a really good flex. Neffets trade Derrick Henry, BTJ, and Fannin for Achane. That doesn't seem like too much to add. We're definitely paying like that. If you added more, I would say it's an overpay. Would I do it for Achane? I guess. It feels like we're just paying up a little bit because he just hit 40 points and you don't get the points from the past. We could pull up his game logs. He's got a 30-point game over the past couple of years, and then it all kind of just settles back down to very good, but not 40. So make sure that when you're thinking about it, you're probably not getting 40 points again. PVL Overlord, do you think Vidal for Ricky and Gadsden is realistic? I don't know that it's realistic, but I would do it. I mean, I would want Ricky and Gadsden. Nathan Shepard, thoughts on Pearsall rest of season? Is he a worthy flex play? This could be, is Pearsall a worthy flex play? Yes. The question could also be, is Xavier worthy a flex play? Which is also yes. I think Pearsall, probably wide receiver 25 rest of season. Dirty Lettuce, someone offered me Garrett for Cortland. Don't love it. If he throws in Gadsden, would that be worth it? And you need a tight end and you're sending Cortland Sutton. If you're not starting Cortland Sutton right now, Garrett Wilson could be a better player in the future and you get Gadsden. So I think that's fine. Was this Exo Sire? You said it rhymed with fire. Should I try and move Lamar if I have Stafford on the bench? Yeah. Neffet says I'd move Stafford. Sure. I would move both. You don't get to pick who the other players in your league like. And I think you would gain a lot of value by getting one of those quarterbacks converted into a player who can go into your lineup. Like if you're starting Stafford and you trade Lamar for Drake London, I think you come out with a much better lineup than starting Lamar and having Stafford on your bench. Joe, Jacobs and Bowers for Bijan and Hampton. Jacobs and Bowers for Bijan and Hampton. think I'm leaning Jacobs and Bowers there by a little bit. It'll depend on the team makeup as well. Like, can you just survive having no Hampton for a bit? Do you have another really good tight end? Jake Ferguson, I think, was free. Do you have him as well? Harrison, will Woody lose value with Mixon back, or is he pretty much going to be RB1 going forward? Uh, I'll break it into two questions. Does he lose value if Joe Mixon comes back? Yes. I guess I'll break it into multiple questions. Is Joe Mixon coming back? No idea. Is Joe Mixon good if he comes back? He's close to 30 and coming off of a lot of injuries. Isn't that the same as Nick Chubb? Is he better than Nick Chubb? I don't know. Does it become Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb? I don't know. What was the other question about Woody Marks that I wanted to break that down into? Or is he pretty much going to be an RB1 going forward? I don't think that he's an RB1. I've got at running back 10 on the week, Javonte Williams, Judkins, Genty, Jalen Warren, Rico Dowdle, Trevion Henderson at 15, Chase Brown at 16. That's clear RB2 territory. So is he an RB1? No. Is he good? Sure. But if you can name 15 guys clearly ahead of him, and you're in a 12-team league. Scuba Steve. Yeah, just saying the same thing. I would say ship both of those quarterbacks. Neil Glenn, got Trevion Henderson in my first flex spot. Would you start Hall or Shakir for a second? Not sure with Shakir questionable. And would have to start Hall tonight. Let's look up like Breece Hall's worst games. Because I've got him at 21. His worst game was Denver with 6, Buffalo with 6, Carolina with 7. So it's possible he hits single digits. It's a very good rushing defense. He will catch targets in these games. He will catch passes, which can help tweak how things go. Oh, Harrison means RB1 for their team, not in the league. Okay, that makes more sense. Is he RB1 for their team? I think the Texans keep saying that he's not an RB1 for their team and that they like Nick Chubb more and they don't like the usage. So I would expect him to maintain what he's been doing. That's a better way to say that. I'm sorry. Breece Hall, like, yeah, you could get away from him. If you're worried about him scoring 7, I think Shakir can beat 7. Dat Tommy Boy start Rico this week? Yeah. Got him 14. Interchangeable with Genty, Jalen Warren. Octavian. I don't know why I jumped to Octavian. All right, we'll do Octavian because I said his name. In a keeper league, trade Dart at the 15th and Rice for Lamar and Lamb going after the championship. Yeah. I think that's fine. Someone gets some value gains, but I think some of the reason I would say this, like trading Dart in the 15th, like there will be someone else. You found Dart in the 15th. You knew that there would be good quarterback value late and trust that you'll be able to do it again. So I think that's fine. And I don't know that Dart, it becomes a massive, he's not a second round pick next year. So I don't think you're giving up a ton in the keepers and you get great players right now. Chris Genova, 2-7 in a 3 players in 1 rookie keeper league. Would I consider moving any of my top players like JJ, Kyron, and Garrett Wilson, or just hold? Got rookies like Fannin and Hunter to keep already. If it's just keeping players, yeah, you should always be open to shopping those guys. If you're 3-7 and you're not making the playoffs, see what becomes available. It would be very hard for me to answer a question like this one, Chris. Would I consider moving any of my top players? Like, yeah. But I'm always considering moving my top players. If you're 2-7, you're probably not into the playoffs. So we're shooting for next year. See what can become available for you. I can't tell you what's available for you. That was Chris. We covered Octavian, who also was keeper. Jagger Lloyd on YouTube traded Jamar Chase for London and Abuka. Kind of regret it, but my wide receiver 2 was worthy. I think you're understanding the full scope of it. Like, yeah, you lost the best player. You increased a different role that probably didn't need as much improvement as you thought. If you average out the production of Jamar Chase and Worthy or someone else that you could have gotten in a different deal, then you would have had a very good 1-2 pairing. But you also have one now with London and Abuka. I don't do a bunch of those trades because it's hard to find a wide receiver 1, but you can find wide receiver 2 usage late in the year. Jeremy Strauss trade Judkins for Bucky. I have Bijan, Chase Brown, and Henderson. Yeah, I probably like Bucky a little bit more than Judkins. Jeter, I just made a trade. I gave away DK and Dak for Zay. I like Zay as the Ravens' strongest roster, while Dak was also wasting on my bench. I feel like you could have gotten a little bit more. I don't know that I hate it, but I feel like you could have gotten a little bit more. Keenan Dolik, would you trade away Kyron and JMO for Jacobs? Yeah. Yeah. I I I think Josh Jacobs finishes a little bit better than Kyron. Like a JMO's worth better than Kyron. And you've probably made it this far without using JMO. David doesn't. Is Bijan and Pearsall for Rasheed and Henderson fair? Yeah. I think that's I don't know who I would take out of that. I usually lean towards Bijan, but if Henderson is pretty solid, it could be the Rasheed and Henderson side. So I would call it fair, and I don't know which side I love. Keller Holbrook, yo, good morning. What's up, Keller? Who do I not start at flex out of Debo, Henry, and Kyron? I would sit Debo. I would just go with Henry and Kyron. You got DK and Rome at wide receiver. Yeah, I think we're okay there. Luckaboo, what is JCM's value at this point? Is there any point in trying to trade him or should I just hold him? I mean, you could try to trade him. We could pull up deals involving JCM. I don't know that they're going to be that good. Here are some Krosky, Merritt, and Dart for David Montgomery. I could take David Montgomery there. Krosky, Merritt for Trey Benson. Sure. Romeo Dobbs. Not a ton. I haven't tweaked it to really pull 2-for-1s. AP, what are some moves that you're trying to make by the deadline? Just consolidation. Consolidation. I did a video on, I mean, it'll be on YouTube as well as a short. I think it's something about like playoff strategy. Just doing consolidation. Getting as much value from your bench into your starting lineup now that we don't have buys going forward. Exosire was offered Bucky for Judkins, Shakir, and Aaron Jones. Is this worth it? If you're 8-2, you would send Judkins, Shakir, and Aaron Jones. Probably. There's a very good chance that your team is just better with Bucky going into your starting lineup. But I'm not positive. But there's a lot of teams where I would do that. Okay, put some onions on that beach. This is your team. There's not a chance I'm going to read this one. Put some onions on that beach, says I got, and then lists his team, and then lists the opponent's team, and then guess who wins. I could not process projections for 2 full teams, add them up mentally, and then say who wins. Will Torres, should I be looking to trade away James Cook? Will, you should be looking to trade away everyone that you have. You could have an amazing team, but you could trade it for a better team as well. You just got to trust that you're good enough at trading. Nestor on TikTok, Pearsall, DJ Moore, or JMO this week. Pick one to bench. I guess DJ Moore? I mean, the team has made changes in Detroit. Play caller changes going to Dan Campbell instead of the offensive coordinator. So it could be that way. And it's close. Like, I probably like DJ Moore more as a player. And then the other guy, Pearsall, if Pearsall's starting, I'd probably put him into my rankings at about 25. So he would be in there ahead of both of those. Nate, what do you do with Dobbins now? If you're in Dynasty and Dobbins is hurt, I think we just, sometimes you say, oh shucks, I got hit. We're trying to dodge strays, but this one got us. I don't know that I guess at this point, you just have to hold him. Dobbins was a player that I picked up off waivers in some rebuilds or traded a 4th or a 3rd for him. And I think he's going to head down that low as well because he's not on the Broncos next year. People have worried about his injury risks, his injury history. I think he's been injured every year he's played, and if he's injured right now, like it's hard to get value for him. If you can get a second, yeah, I could probably take a second. AP12 says, I dropped Dobbins in an 8-man half-point redraft. I really liked him. Yeah. And in a redraft, it becomes pretty, in a redraft 8-man, it makes sense. In a redraft league, like we're holding him, hoping he comes back. In a dynasty, because he's not under contract and the team has his replacement and we won't know where he's going. And if he signs somewhere, it'll probably feel like Javonte Williams did last year, where we're saying we don't even know if he's the starter. His dynasty value and trade value would get really low, but his production will probably be good enough next year that I wouldn't move him. Saber, is Pittman and Vidal an under or overplay for Nico only? He's been a target of mine for a while. I think it's an underpay. I would be pretty happy if I could move Pittman and Vidal and get Nico. G-Mon, who would you start at flex, Henderson or Higgins? I probably Higgins for safety. Like what wide receiver? Let's just run down the wide receivers. I have Higgins at 17, AJ Brown and Devonta Smith at 18 and 19. Probably can go with some of those over Henderson. I need to pull Marv out. He's in there since I made the video. So Zay Flowers is where I would start to say I might just go with Henderson. And then it's guys like DK Metcalf, Ricky Pearsall, Stephon Diggs, Tet McMillan, where I might just go with Henderson. Oh yeah. Mr. Luckaboo, same thing. If we're pulling that one up. Sure thing. Sure thing. Joe, Pickens and Bowers for Chase and Bucky. And you already have McBride. Would I send Pickens and Bowers for Chase and Bucky? Yeah. And you have Trey McBride and you want 2 running backs? That seems fine. John Romano, would I trade Rico Dowdle and Rome for Saquon and T? Yes. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think I like getting Saquon there. Will Torres, what wide receiver should I be targeting in a trade, giving away James Cook? What's his value right now after some bad weeks? I think I did James Cook yesterday, Will, in this one. So we've got a YouTube video. It's got chapters in it. So you can just jump right to James Cook and see real trades that are happening for him on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, you can just scroll right down. There should be a link right to YouTube. Otherwise, it's the same channel name, Boom Bust Fantasy there. AP12, I dropped Dobbins. We covered that one. Connor, give up Puka, get Rico and Amon-Ra and Kyron. Yeah, I would definitely be open to doing that. Going from Puka to Amon-Ra it's a dip. It's a dip. We can't say it's not a dip, but you get Rico Dowdle and Kyron Williams on top. Couldn't you just trade Rico Dowdle and Kyron Williams for a very, very good receiver or a really good running back? Could you trade Kyron and Rico for, could you get to Bijan? I bet there's a league where you could get Bijan. So if you went from Puka and got Amon-Ra and Bijan, we'd be jumping up and down. Or you could trade Kyron with other players that you have to get big up tiers there, or trade Rico with other players that you have. I would definitely take the Amon-Ra side and then just do a little bit of the work to make my lineup better. Saber says, right as you offered that, just got a trade offer of Pittman for Henry. Yeah, I'll take Derrick Henry there. Pez, how do you feel about Brees for Genty? I guess I would go with Genty. Put some onions on that beach. Okay, Lions defense or Bears, Falcons, Niners. I also don't do a ton of defense. Lions playing this week. Philly, I'm not excited for that. Bears playing the Vikings. No. Falcons playing Carolina. Yeah. Niners playing the Cardinals. I could also do Niners playing the Cardinals, but probably Falcons. Very healthy compared to the Niners, who are very injured. Lamplife 863. Okay. We've got all right. Lamplife says roster is Stafford. Oh gosh, it's just a roster. It's a 10-man PPR and I traded Williams. So Williams, like Javonte Williams, Waddle, and Montgomery for Taylor a while ago. Jonathan Taylor? Okay, you traded Javonte Williams, Waddle, and Montgomery for Jonathan Taylor. Who should I target as my flex position? Let me know what the options are, Lamp Life. I feel like we've got a full puzzle here. If it's just who to start at flex, tell me the two options you're choosing between. Seven, do we feel uncomfortable having too many players on the same team? I have Dak, CeeDee, and Javonte. No, you just have a bad bye week when they're all on a bye. Otherwise, do you like, I wouldn't really tweak it. Do you like CeeDee Lamb more or less if Javonte's not on your team? No, you like him the same. You like him the same. Vizbang, trade Rasheed Dowdle for Nico and Achan. I trade Rasheed Rice for Achan and Dowdle for Nico. Yeah, this is fine. I mean, we saw a lot of trades of Rico for Nico straight up. Rico Dowdle for Nico Collins, and I think I like the Nico Collins side. And then Rasheed Rice for Achan is also, I would draft those guys right next to each other. All right, Lamp Life says Javonte. I feel like we're missing what we're needing here. AXM just been offered Herbert and Devontae Adams for Lamar. My wide receiver room is super stacked with Nico and Mecca, Smitty, Marv, but I do have a follow-up trade to send one of Nico and Emeka for Marv and Jefferson. Yeah, if the sequence of trades ends up with a better starting lineup, then I would consider it that way because you have a ton of wide receivers here. Nico, Emeka Buka, Smitty, Marv, CeeDee. So you would have CeeDee Lamb and Jefferson and then some other things. Is Herbert and Devontae enough for me to move Lamar? I think so. I think I would. And then you just come up with the other options. You come up with the other trades. Baby Genius, first seed in a 12-team start 11 Dynasty Superflex. So I trade Burrow, Bucky, and Monungai for Josh Allen. If you're the first seed, I mean, your playoffs aren't until we're expecting Joe Burrow back, right? So would I trade a healthy Joe Burrow and Bucky to get Josh Allen? I don't think I would. So if you're already the number one seed and you're going to make the playoffs and you'll have Joe Burrow back by then, I don't know that I want to do it. If you're worried that you wouldn't have Joe Burrow back, I mean, pay whatever you need to pay to get Flacco starting for you. That's the way I would view it. I think you would be giving up a lot just to get up to Josh Allen in a way that doesn't increase your chances of winning the championship as much as we want it to. Sivan says, thankfully they had the bye already. Yeah, I think you're talking about Cowboys players. Yep, then you're good to just run them. Jackass trying to get a better flex spot. Would you do Swift and JMO for Pittman? Would I send those guys for Pittman? Sure. I would be fine doing that. I would also check in. I mean, it just comes down to how much you feel about Pittman versus who's on bye this week. Pittman versus, I mean, he's gone down to 3 against Atlanta, 20 against Pittsburgh, which is fine. We saw Alec Pierce looking good against Pittsburgh, and then Alec Pierce looking good against Atlanta. As long as you feel fine that it's Pittman as the lead option and you're not worried about Alec Pierce, then we're good. We're good to go. Silly Feet 2, I have Acham, but I have an opportunity to trade some depth for Waddle. Or should I not put all my eggs in a Dolphins basket? I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry about it. The players just score points. I think we start to assign too much value to them being on the same team. I mean, if you're worried that they score 0, I'm not that concerned about having that on the same team. If it helps your lineup each week, then we're going for it. AXM, further context, I'm 8, but I don't remember the original AXM. I'm 8-1. I want my playoff lineup as strong as possible. So 2 or 3 of those would be benched anyway. So better to clear the value off my bench, right? Probably that sentence makes sense, but I do not remember any of the players. Lamp Life, I'm thinking running back or wide receiver, but I feel like it should be an easier decision with Gadsden on my bench and do 2 tight end look, but targeting Devontae, Irving, Addison, Hampton, how much better are they at the flex than Metcalf, Franklin, Kamara? A notable amount. Devontae Adams at the flex would be much better than Metcalf, Franklin, or Kamara. Arturo, is Breece Hall or Javonte Williams for Rashee Rice a solid trade for both sides? I would much rather have Rashee Rice than Breece Hall. So I can say that. I think Rice is probably the best player of those three. ALAD30, can I rely on Henderson, Alec Pierce, Pearsall, and J.K. Dobbins to support Amon-Ra, Gibbs? Okay, yes. I think I understand your question. Is your question, I have Amon-Ra, Gibbs, Jefferson, and Daniel Jones as good starters, and then you're worried about Henderson, Pierce, Pearsall, and Dobbins? They could. They could. You can also keep cycling through bent or waiver options and trying to up tier, find late season breakouts. Those still exist. Like right here, Bruck Live. Should I capitalize on the new offensive coordinator with Jerry Jeudy and trade for him? If it doesn't cost you anything, yeah, try it out. Jerry Jeudy was very good down the back half of last year. It's weird that it's happening the same way again, but it's not weird that there are players in the back half of the year who look really good. Like last year, he's injured right now, but because of some injuries, why do I always forget this dude's name? Broken neck, plays for the Bucks. Jalen McMillan. This guy did not much of anything last year, and then down the stretch was a touchdown every single game. So if your lineup is very strong and then you have some weak options, there will be weird guys that pop up later in the season as teams are seeing how their rookies are looking and getting people into different roles. I think your team is okay. I think that was a lad. Jack S, thank you. He also offered Swift for AJ Brown, but I don't really trust AJ. Okay. I trust AJ, but it doesn't mean you have to. Juju not on beat. Would you drop Keenan Allen to pick up Ricky Pearsall? I think so. I think I would rather have Ricky Pearsall. He seems more likely to be top 25 than Keenan on a regular basis. Ryan Renabu, does DeMarcado look like a better start than Bam Knight with Marvin Harrison out? It depends. I don't think so. I wouldn't. I think what we saw last week, Ryan, how quickly can I pull this up? I think I can get there pretty quick. Go to week 10. And what we saw last week, is it still up here? Can we just go to the Cardinals? I won't spend a ton of time doing. Yeah, I think this is with the link I want. In this game, if you just go to the play-by-play, end of the first quarter, the Cardinals are down 0-21. That's where we get Amari DeMarcado. So that would be my guess of what's going on. Most games don't have a 21-point lead. Most games in the NFL don't have a 21-point lead at the first quarter. Like high 90s percentages of games don't look like this. So we should call it an outlier game and say that it's probably still Bam Knight as most likely to get a touchdown and most likely to be the lead option. Meat Pies, any W's last night? We got one. We got one. At least one. We got at least one Fortnite win, but I don't remember. Just trying to find the balance on it. Reading questions, saying things while I play. I found that it is very hard to do trades while also trying to find where people are and blast them. Oh, winner, winner, chicken dinner from Scuba Steve. Thank you for the bits, Scuba Steve. Thank you for the bits, Scuba Steve. All right. Are we falling behind again? Jalen Blair, should I get rid of a receiver or running backs? I got 5 each for playoffs. Jalen, I don't recognize the name. The correct answer is you get rid of the ones that you can. I get a lot of people that ask questions like this. Who should I try to keep and who should I trade? And I get a lot of people saying my league doesn't trade. And I don't see how those aren't related. Give up the one that you can move. Trades are two ways. If no one wants your running backs and you didn't even offer any wide receivers, although you seem like you would, what are we doing? Offer everyone. Figure out who loves one of your players and then make a deal with them. Joey Joestar, would you do Ferguson or Otten this week? I would go with Ferguson this week. Zach Williams, pick 2. Woody Marks, Quinshon, or Harvey? I think I'm Harvey and Judkins. I also, who was that? Zach Williams. We've got the rankings posted on YouTube. So here starts, sits, ranks. They're broken down game by game. So I've got Marks ranked the furthest back. JMac143 kicks trade Hampton and a third for Genty. And get what we think. Okay. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. If Hampton had stayed healthy, how many weeks? I mean, let's pull up Hampton's production and let's just do a thought experiment. How many weeks of Hampton performing like this? 24, 27, 13. If he had gone 20, I mean, we'll just round this up and it's small on your screen, so I'll just read them out. 25, 20, 13. And then if we just fill in some realistic options, 15, 18, 12, 22, 24. Wouldn't we be saying that the and should go to Genty? Like it should be Genty and to get to Amari and Hampton. So now in a dynasty, we're saying 1 to 2 more weeks of Genty over Hampton to make the swap. I don't know that I want to, and I don't know that I would value them that far off from each other. You can also go and look through each year, the rookie drafts. Like we're wrong all the time. Last year, if you had Caleb, why am I blanking on his last name? Caleb Williams at 1, it wasn't right. If it was Jayden Daniels. If you had Marv at 1 that year, it wasn't right. It was Malik Neighbors. So the obvious one that we take each year, we need to be open to the idea that it's not correct. And as we've seen Hampton outscoring Genty, like he's just hurt right now. If we fill in some realistic options for him, don't we like Hampton a little bit more or closer? I don't know that I would add anything to Hampton to go to Genty. Iso Poyo, don't know how I pulled this off, but I traded Christian Watson and Rashad White for Olave. I'm assuming Travion is must start over Monty this week. Yeah, I would start Travion over Monty this week. I like that trade for you, Iso Poyo. I mean, the ones that feel like you don't know how you pulled it off, they happen. And they happened because you offered it or you asked them. They happened because you weren't sitting around going, which guy do I need to keep more? Which guy do I like more rest of season? Joey Joestar, would you start Otten over Rashad? If Bucky is playing, yeah. Camden, start 2, Henderson, Henry, or Odunze? I might go Odunze over Henderson. If you don't want to, don't. Maybe that's just me being a dumb Bears fan. But that's how I would end up doing it personally. Caleb or Baker this week from Lethal Mercs. Pretty sure I have Baker ahead. I have Baker at 9 and Caleb down at about 15. There's a lot of really good matchups. I don't like Caleb against the Vikings this week. Ethan, would you trade Pittman and Bucky for Waddle? I think Ethan, I would move one of those guys for Waddle. I think sending both is too much. Oh, JBF is here. Jeff Buckley fan. Thank you for the 10 TikToks. And Jeff Buckley fan says, good morning. Should I start Odunze, Juwan Jennings, or Parker Washington in the flex? I would go Odunze there. And that one, I don't feel like it's just Bears fandom. I think just in general, he gets more targets, scores more points usually. He had a 0, but he's also had multiple games of double-digit targets. K on TikTok says, what running back can I get by packaging ETN and Wandale? We have a video of that. If you want to create a trade package of 2 players, here's how we build them. This is the real thing I do. So that's listed on YouTube. Oh, I'm way behind. Ethan, with those 2, what do you think I can get for that flex spot? Same thing. We get that one a lot. So we have that video of how I would build a 2-for-1 trade. Corey Hand, do you think Garrett Wilson will return at some point this season? I think so. They said 3 to 4 weeks was the estimate, and that didn't come from the Jets. I think the Jets would just tell you he's always playing, but 3 to 4 weeks. I know they've ruled him out more quickly this week, but yes, I think he comes back. TTV, should I trade Rice for Lamb and Kamara? Yeah, you can. Is Kamara, if you strongly believe that Rice is better, I don't know that Kamara is enough to get me off of that, but I think they're pretty even. So I could just take Kamara and do something else on top of that. There are plenty of people that need a second running back right now that would move one of their better pieces to do it. I see trades like that all the time in the when I'm looking in the trade database, they're trades that seem crazy. And then if you try to apply some sort of logic of what that team was thinking, they're usually getting someone like Kamara added in a package, and they're moving their best player. Let's take a look. So if you get Kamara, can you find someone who would do Xavier Worthy for Kamara and Cooper Kupp because this guy feels like he needs a running back? That's just the first example that I saw. There's usually guys with much better players than Xavier Worthy going for a good player and Kamara, but you're getting clearly the best player. Shane says, I'm late to the show. Not so patiently waiting to hear back on Pickens, Harvey, and Shakir for Genty and Smitty. We'll see. We'll see. Shane, Shane's been here multiple days all the time. Shane, what's the link to your fitness TikTok? Put it in the chat so people can check it out if they want to. Normally I would say like, hey, don't share your own stuff, but Shane's been here a bunch of days. Throw it in there. I think it's just your name, right? Shane Kindred. Camden, honestly, like a CD, possibly I would try. I don't remember what that's related to, Camden. Okay, I think he's just responded to someone else. Joey Josar, God, I hope Bucky plays, but realistically, probably next week. I hope so too. I hope so too. I think I just don't want to keep answering questions. Do I know what's going to happen with Bucky? I don't. J-Mac. It was Genty and Tet for Hampton and a third. Oh, in a keeper league. That's way different. That's way different. Batman, Jalen Warren, and Aaron Jones for Josh Jacobs. Yeah, I could send that. I'd be fine sending that. Let's do the consolidating. I'm happy to send that. JPB, I've had a lot of injuries to my starting lineup. Am I stuck with Wilson and Dobbins, or would there be ways to offload them while 9-1 to get a better running back too? It would be hard to offload them. It would be hard to offload them. Pretty tough. You could check. You can always offer them in your league. You're 9-1. You would be the type of person trading for Garrett Wilson. So maybe the guy who's 8 and whatever would take them. TTV Kamara has a good schedule coming up, so I'm hoping he does well if I do the trade. Yeah, I mean, you could always flip him right away as well. You can trade for players that you never start, or that you're never planning to start, or that leave your team before the next week. DeCali, I figured I'm trying to do that. I think it's just a response to someone. Scuba Steve, Jetta's in Hampton to get Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Shane Kidder just hit 200 followers on TikTok yesterday. Congrats. Relatable gym content. If you're looking for gym content, it's Shane_Kindred, like Kindred on TikTok for gym content. I remember hitting 200. It was amazing. I sent my friend Juan a big message saying we had 200 because Juan had always been supporting. The next 200 came faster. The next 400 came faster after that. So you just keep it rolling. You just keep it rolling. As long as you don't stop and you're growing, even if you hit a growth lull, you keep going, throw in some experimentation. You're doing good. Brother Justin, choose one running back for our B slot and one for flex. Henderson, Woody Marks, Tet McMillan. I'm probably Henderson. For me, I'm probably Henderson and Tet, Brother Justin, but they're close enough that if you went Henderson and Woody and that was your choice, like that works as well. And I feel like we probably both think Henderson goes in there with no Ramondre. Hanzo, trade Rice for Lamb. I don't do a ton of those, Hanzo, where we're just picking, I like this player more than the other one. We got a spammer. We've gone back to kick. And for a while, it looked like they had cleaned up spammers. But we have one now, Rebecca VTuber, that says, hey, yo, how are you? My headphones are not working. So if you can reply to me in the chat, which I will not. Someone said it's just better to, I read somewhere saying it's just better to stream as many places as you can and be there early. Maybe nothing happens with kick, but you get a lot of spammers, a lot of weird bots. That's just a little bit of complaining that only I can see. So I have to read it out to you guys. DeCali, is Flowers and Shaheed for Pittman such a bad trade? In my mind, it was pretty fair. I don't think it's horrible. Did people have a lot of problems with it? Did I say I had problems with it? I don't think that's terrible. Some people are really high on Flowers. I think he has a lot of down games, so I'm not as high. Ethan Garn on YouTube, would you do Kyron and Shakir for Rice? I have Jacobs. Would I do Kyron Williams and Shakir for Rice? You have Jacobs and Kyron and want to get Ibuka or Rice. I'd be fine moving Kyron and Shakir for Rice. I think that's okay. I mean, if you have another running back, or even if you just move Rice for a better running back. Thick Luigi. Hey, Jack, what's up, Thicky? Derrick Henry and Olave for Achan. I think we're sending too much. I think we're sending a little bit much. I think so. Because when we were drafting, I would have said I probably like Achan more. And I got some pushback on that. And now that we're here and it's Achan, and now I'm taking the other side saying, I don't know that he's that much higher. Like, I like him more than Derrick Henry, but I don't know that it's a full Chris Olave more. If you have the depth, you could. I might look to use that in a different spot where I'm for sure getting a bigger, like for sure bigger up tier. But they seem kind of close where I don't know that I would send that specific one. July on YouTube. Welcome back, July, with 2 Ys. Trade James Cook and Kittle. James Cook and Kittle for Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and McBride. Would I trade? Sometimes sorry guys, sometimes I just have to keep repeating it so I commit it to memory and apply values to them and then compare them in my head. So would I trade James Cook and Kittle, okay, for Amon-Ra and McBride? Oh, yes. Yes, I would. Are wide receivers better than running backs in terms at the flex position? Not necessarily. And I don't think that's the difference. It's just Amon-Ra St. Brown is a much better wide receiver than James Cook is a running back. And that's not skill at the position. It's relative to other players currently in the NFL. Amon-Ra is wide receiver 3 or something for fantasy, and James Cook is running back 10. So you're just getting more value in your lineup. And then on top of all of that, McBride is further ahead than Kittle. So both players are just better on the Amon-Ra side. Pyro's Thunder, I got an offer on the table receiving Lamar, Jamar, and Tracy, giving Baker, Javonte, Ibuka, and Odunze. I think I like it. You get Jamar Chase. You don't get a running back. If you're fine without Javonte, I think I like the value on the other side enough that I would just do it and take Lamar, Jamar. Tracy could be nothing. He could be fine. He's a decent stash. We could probably chuck him from that trade and say Baker, Javonte, Ibuka, Odunze for that package. I think that's not insane. How's it going today from Carter Sensabaugh? Welcome back, Carter. I remember Carter. I feel like welcome back for the names I remember isn't insane. Carter Sensabaugh, how's it going? Just curious, what's your favorite type of fantasy league? Thinking about some dynasty starting next year. Dynasty is my favorite by far. So before we switched to redraft, we did 9 dynasty startups last offseason. We won't do 9 again. It's too many for me to keep up with, but this was a dynasty page before we covered anything else. So we'll do dynasty. I like it. Here's our starting lineup. This is a bad team. Here's a team where I'm good. You do a quarterback and a super flex, which is just another quarterback spot. And then two wide receivers, 2 running backs. I said those in reverse order. We add a little bit of premium on top of tight end receptions, and then 3 flex spots. So it would be a 12 team and you start 10 players each week. No kicker, no defense. That's my favorite. And then you have your rookie picks for next year. So I've got 2 first-round picks in 27. I like this mode of playing much more than redraft because you get to play all year round. Players, you trade quarterbacks become much more easily to trade. Players have different levels of value based on their age and their current contract situation. So there's way more like 1-for-1 trading that makes sense rather than redraft where we're trading for the next 6 weeks and just guessing who's better. But there's more of an edge you can get in Dynasty. Bruck Live, if I do the trade for Judy, do I give Dobbs or Pierce or none? I don't know what the trade is. I don't mean this to be rude, Bruck. I'm going to try to say this in the least rude way possible. And none of this is bragging. I can answer the questions, but we've got nonstop ones coming from TikTok and YouTube. I can't commit any of them to memory. D. Colley, no. A guy in my league rejected the Flowers and Shaheed for Pittman and called it diabolical. Oh, everybody has their values. Everybody has their values. I think you offer it. If it's not diabolical, you offer it. If he didn't like it, okay. You learned something and you offer a different trade. Camden, you want to see real trades that happened for Odunze and Derrick Henry, like packages of Odunze and Derrick Henry? I guess we'll show that. Here are trades where people sent Odunze and Derrick Henry. Here's one for Devon Achane. This heavily favors the Achane side. I don't know that I agree with that. Dat Tommy Boy, Rico and Monungai for Rice. Like Rico Dowdle and Monungai for Rice. I think I would rather have Rice there. Brennan H. This is just, my team is now this. Is it a W? I mean, you have Lamar, Achane, Jacobs, Genty, Aaron Jones, Puka, Jettas, Nico, and Schultz. Like, yeah, I think that's a solid team. Adam Flynn, start 2 out of Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, Diggs or Judkins. I think I'm Henry and Williams there. Pyro Sunder, should I ask for Monungai instead of Tracy? Do I think it makes any difference? They're just very different options. We've seen 2 weeks of Tracy in a split role. That could change with a head coaching change there. It could not change. So it's just a 1 week stash to see if Tracy is now the guy. And if he's not, he probably doesn't have that much value. And then Monungai will get a couple drives each week. And that could expand, but within the time frame that we have left in the season, probably not a ton. So that's how I would value those guys. Dat Tommy Boy, Rico, we covered that one. Lethal Mercs, start 3, sit 2, Jettas, Metcalf. I mean, we're starting Justin Jefferson. So we have to start. We're starting Justin Jefferson. I'm starting Odunze and Devontae Adams. And everyone else would sit. Pyro Thunder, my running backs would be. So I think I'm okay with Javonte. Okay. Buffy J.A., should I trade Rico Dowdle and A.J. Brown for McBride? I think you can. When we did a video on McBride, people were, we did one last week, Trey McBride trade values. So that would be on TikTok. People said all of the values, all of the trades were not enough for McBride. So I don't think that's a ton to give up. If you don't have a tight end at all, Buffy, then you're probably okay. All right, KJ Stell. This is I've read the first half. This is a very good message. Last stream, I told you I got Chase Brown for Olave and Henderson. And I just like that you reminded me what we're talking about. Thank you very much for filling me in. Okay, you got Chase Brown for Olave and Henderson. I just traded Chase Brown and Debo for Drake London and Hampton. Chase Brown and Debo for Drake London and Hampton. I like that trade. I like that. I like getting London and Hampton. You sent Olave and Henderson, and you ended with London and Hampton. Not bad. I mean, and Debo was in the mix as well. I don't hate that. Nurkum. I already have Josh Jacobs and JSN. I already have Josh Jacobs and JSN and Waddle, so I would trade Waddle for another wide receiver. Okay. Oh, it looks like I missed the original. Would I do James Cook for Justin Jefferson? I could. I know there's plenty of people who don't. Carter Sensabaugh, what are your thoughts on Colson, Loveland, and redraft? I've seen fantasy experts in quotes rate him as high as tight end 10 rest of season. I feel like the volume isn't there. You're not crazy. They're predicting more growth for the player. So I need to show him over here. Don't want this. This is what I'm looking for. This is half PPR scoring. I just realized recently that if I show PPR scoring for, I need to go to players. I just need a faster way to show player game logs. People that have Colson Loveland as top 10 rest of season are hoping that they see more snap percentage and targets. So his snap percentage in the past couple of weeks has gotten over 80%. He's a rookie, so it started low. He got injured. He was injured when the Bears drafted him. So we're hoping for in-season development. There's enough games left that we could believe that he's sitting at over 80% of snaps, getting an average of 4, 5, 7, 4, like 5 or 6 targets a game. And that does put him into top 10 range. There's the guys that are around him. The difference between tight end 10 for rest of season, if it's Colston Loveland or Theo Johnson or Harold Fannin, is all inches. Tight end 10 to tight end 20 is just a blob of all the same dude, and they will barely be ahead of each other. So if you have tight end 20, I wouldn't worry compared to tight end 10 that much, or tight end 18 versus 12. It's very, very little, and we're just trying to find who could get a touchdown. And there's a reason to believe that Colston Loveland would continue to be a big part of this offense. So yeah, the targets haven't been there, but they're projecting that they'll get better. And then I don't know why you put fantasy experts in quotes. Big Joser, which side of this trade would you rather have? Ladd, Bowers, Herbert, Brees. Okay, we're going big. Or McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Kittle, Goff. Probably Ladd and Bowers. Probably Ladd, Bowers, Herbert, Brees. I don't know that I want to crunch all the numbers on it yet. We don't pull up the trade calculator a ton before 1 o'clock. I think that's the side I like. All right. Jalen Blair. While getting rid of my running backs, is there something I'm looking for? Yeah, Jalen, mentioning it's your first year in fantasy. I do remember some of the questions. I think you had said you had like 5 good running backs and 5 good wide receivers. Jalen, you could take any combo of like running back 3 and running back and wide receiver 3 and just package them together. So I've got a video on YouTube. It's under my ultimate trade tips. Here's what the homepage of the channel looks like. So ultimate trade tips, this one here, steal this trade tip. Going 2 for 1 is one of the best things you can do in fantasy. It's very hard to come out losing in a deal like that. This is the video of how I build those trade targets. So if you can get a 2 for 1 on any of those. So if I'm counting out, you said 5 wide receivers and 5 running backs, as long as they're not the top option and there's room to get a better player coming back, doing 2 for 1 is just incredibly powerful, and consolidate that. You just don't want, now that we're through all of our bye weeks mostly, and as we're getting further and further along in the season, you don't need as much depth. So you want to roll stuff up and get it into your starting lineup. That's the thing that you want to be doing. So we don't take huge L's on the trades, but I'm okay with taking slight losses if it makes your starting lineup better. And if you can get someone to take 2 players and only give you 1 in return, that usually comes out ahead. Nate says Judkins for Nate. Redo it, Nate. We'll cover Nate. Throw that back up there and I'll grab it. Kobe Todd, Jettas for Olave and Bucky. Some people might say, yeah, Kobe. I think I would just stick with Justin Jefferson there. Okay, there it is, Nate. Judkins for Nico Collins and Tyrone Tracy Jr. Sure. We're doing Judkins for Nico doesn't seem insane. You could stay with Judkins and you could probably, if you stayed with Judkins, you could probably move him for a top 3, 4 pick in the offseason and convert to a wide receiver that way. The Tyrone Tracy isn't that much to me in here. So yeah, it's not insane. I could see going both ways. I'm more likely to just hold Judkins unless I needed a wide receiver this year and then make a swap after the season. Vivi Mochito, pick 2 to start. Addison, Quentin Johnson, Gaston, Parker Washington, Kareem Hunt. I think I'm Addison and Quentin Johnson there. Shadow says Dobbins probably isn't playing and I only have handcuffs on my bench. I'm cooked. You can make a swap. You can make a swap. How much is Charbonnet going to cost you? Could you do it down 2 for 2 down tier and pick up Charbonnet somewhere along the way and not really lose that much value in your lineup? Could you down tier from a quarterback if you have a great one and snag Charbonnet? There's definitely moves you can make. Joey Joestar says, been thinking about doing a dynasty. How does it compare to redraft? It's just different levels of value added to each player. Like Baker Mayfield, I think he's 31 or 32. So he's 30. He's performing really well, but you're hoping that you get 6 more years out of him. You're just adding in different levels of value for things like age, where Drake May is now much more valuable than someone like Baker Mayfield because of that age difference. AKA Archie, I'm struggling to pick between Chase Brown and Henderson to start. I'm leading Henderson because no Ramondre and the Steelers' tough matchup. I think that's a fine edge. I have Henderson at 15 and Chase Brown at 16. So I would have them like at coin flip level. And I think Henderson's fine. Dustin Wells, what's up? I have Herbert. Would you pick up Purdy for next week's bye? Would you stash Eagles or Bucks defense down the stretch? Yeah, Purdy for a bye week cover next week. I think that's a fine fill-in. And that's why I don't hold 2 quarterbacks. Because you've waited this long, you're hitting your bye, and then, oh, there's someone easily available for you right there. If Flacco's available, he could also be your bye week option. Purdy, I think, is a great fill-in. And then Eagles or Bucks for the defense down the stretch. I haven't looked ahead that much. Think Luigi, Derrick Henry, Olave for HN is very much, but Olave has a tough schedule rest of season. But you could also move Olave in a different deal where you're for sure getting an up tier. Like Olave paired with ETN and getting a much better running back, and then you're for sure getting ahead. I kind of like something like that. Adam Flynn, would I start Diggs over Adams or Ladd? Like Devontae no. I like Devontae Adams a lot. And then Ladd I like quite a bit, but I would rank them in that order. Adams, Ladd, Diggs. DeCali, Flowers, and Aaron Jones and Burrow for Justin Jefferson, a fair deal or underpay? Feels like an underpay. I would much rather have Justin Jefferson there. Luke Hazelton, Cook and Flowers for CD. Would I trade James Cook and Zay Flowers for CD? Yeah, I could. Your running backs would be Henry, Henderson. If I do, your wide receivers are Amon-Ra, Ladd, and Odunze. That feels like, even if you feel as though you have a problem with Henderson at your running back, you could also just take Henderson and trade him with like Odunze and get a locked in running back. You could make that follow-up deal. Or if you get up to CD, you could swap CD for a different running back. If you went CD to Gibbs or CD to Bijan, I would think that trade is okay as well. I think I don't mind. I like that deal. Cook and Flowers to CD. And even if you create a problem for yourself, you have enough value there to then solve it. Like easily movable value too. Abbas Remtula, I traded Brees Hall for Ladd. Good or bad trade? I think that's good. I think it's good. I hope so. I hope it's good because I would make the same type of trade. So I hope I'm right. And I hope that works out. XR Creations, any trade targets before the deadline? I'm 8-2. I don't typically think of it that way. XR Creations I think you can gain a lot. You can get a lot better at fantasy if you don't worry about it as trade targets and you think about it more of like what type of trade gets you ahead. If you have depth and you're 8-2, I want as much value into your starting lineup. Like assign a dollar value to each of your players, and then you want as much of that dollar value as starters for your playoff stretch. You're 8-2. It's basically clinched. You just have to worry about 3 more weeks in the future with the best lineup for those 3 weeks. KJ still, I'm thinking RJ Harvey is going to go off for the next couple weeks. I think I got enough time to wait for Hampton. I hope so. I do fall back on Sean Payton is better at coaching football and knowing player strengths much more than me. Like the coaches of the Broncos probably know more than I do about how ready RJ Harvey is compared to J.K. Dobbins. So I hope he goes off, but I'm not clinging to the thought that, well, now he for sure is. That we've all just been waiting for Dobbins to get hurt so that the coaches see something that we knew. Like they see him every day. We just kind of made up that he's better. Devin Inventive, how are you doing? I'm doing great. PPR Dynasty Superflex, trade Tet for Devonta Smith and a first. Yeah, depending on the first, yeah. If it's mid first, sure. Okay, Ramber, trade Goff and Kamara for Bowers, or no, because of Bowers' playoff schedule. I would trade Goff and Kamara for Bowers 100 times over. And I wouldn't worry about his playoff schedule. I mean, you could trade Goff and Kamara for Bowers and then just trade Bowers the same day for way more. Like you don't ever even, if you're worried about his playoff schedule, you don't even ever have to worry about it. That's just how much of a value gain that would be to go from Goff and Kamara. CE, send Henry and BTJ for Jacobs. Is it too much? You just want out of BTJ? I mean, at that point, you could just drop BTJ. If you're just swapping Henry to Jacobs. Am I the only one who feels that way about Derrick Henry? This is market value based on real trades that have happened. It doesn't mean it's right. People make bad trades. But this would have Derrick Henry as RB11 and Josh Jacobs probably ahead somewhere. Where would this have Josh Jacobs? Maybe I'm way off on these on market value rankings. Josh Jacobs at 6, go from RB11 to RB6 in terms of like market consensus. That's not production. I don't know that that seems like more than I would give up to make that swap. I would just hold it. I mean, there's always there's always a chance that BTJ just looks better after an ankle injury. Oh, I see. Really just want out of BTJ. I don't care if he ends up going off later on. I mean, for everyone else watching, there are people that feel this way about specific players on their roster. So keep checking in with the other managers in your league. Like someone has BTJ and may hate them. Someone might hate Kyron Williams. Sorry, I had to block someone on TikTok. So I think you're selling BTJ a little bit low in that one. Let me find where I was. Here we are. Blocko. Someone in my league just traded Achane, Bowers, Johnston for Charbonnet, McBride, and Adams. I don't know. Yeah. You put in some laughing. I don't know that I like that trade. Vasquilla, happy Thursday. What's for Thanksgiving dinner? We're going to friend's house for Thanksgiving. We're just having turkey and among other things. Shane Kindred, why do Bucks go no pads all week? Bucky's back again today for a real practice, but still won't play unless he takes a hit, I think. Teams only have a certain amount of padded practices they can do each year. So I don't know that they tweaked it a ton for Bucky Irving coming back, but a lot of the teams don't have padded practices a lot of the times. AKAR, she says, nice, thank you. Hey, thank you. Shane Kindred, Trey Benson may have fallen off the face of the earth. He might have. David Gonzalez, Bijan and Pickens for Judkins, Rice, Waddle, Pittman. Would I trade Bijan Robinson and George Pickens for Judkins, Rice, Waddle, and Pittman? I could. We're starting to get there. I mean, can't we cross off like Pickens and Waddle? So am I just doing Bijan for Rice, Judkins, and Pittman? Yeah, I think so. Okay, Ramber, trade Goff and Kamara for Bowers or no? Oh, yeah, we covered that one, Ramber. Texas Tejano, so when BTJ comes back to full strength, who do you prefer on your roster, Myers or BTJ? I think BTJ. I think I would still prefer him. Juan on TikTok, Knicks or Caleb this week? We do have position rankings that would break it down so you could see where each quarterback is ranked. Juan's here daily. Juan, I'll tell you that I have Caleb at 15 and Bo Nix at 14. If you want more of the context of that, those are probably the two games that I talk the most about. My Bears, and I thought the Chiefs and Broncos game was pretty interesting. So that's available. Vasquilla, do you think Tampa's going to be trailing so they're going to want to throw the ball more? I don't ever try to predict that. I don't try to predict that type of thing. And the times where that helps are not as common as you think. Where we saw that on Sunday with the Cardinals down 21 at the end of the first quarter. That's what you're hoping for. That gets teams to throw a ton. Or maybe a game where the Texans were way down against the Jags. But did we predict that? No, I don't think so. Even in the games where we do think that a team is going to be way down, it doesn't always happen. Like the teams that lose a ton of games aren't always getting blown out in a ton of games. So I don't try to predict that as much. Let's see, KJ Sale, that's true. I got a lot of fantasy bias for Harvey because he was my 6th round pick. Yeah, I understand you. I understand you. VV, Olave, and ETN for Jacobs. That feels all right. That feels all right. We had one that was Henry and Olave for Achan, and I like this Olave and ETN for Jacobs, where you know you're getting that up tier. I like something like that a little bit more when we're using Olave to up tier. Let's see, CE, it says, can't justify dropping, rather add value to a trade because talking about BTJ. I know. Yeah, for that one, I was being a little rude saying like, if you're going to do that sort of trade, you just also be open to dropping BTJ. And maybe I didn't have the values as close. Like, if you want to do it, I'm not going to tell you you're crazy. I don't think I would, though. Luke Hazelton, sorry, I'm back. He changed his mind from Cook and Flowers to Cook and Odunze for CD. Do we still take it? That one I don't like as much. That one, it's not as clear of a slam dunk. The Cook and Flowers, you just, yeah, do it. Cook and Odunze gets into team specific. If you can survive no running back coming back, then you still can. I'm looking to do consolidation at this time of year, Luke. So if that's the only consolidation you can get, okay. We got a YouTube sub from David Gonzalez. Thank you. Got Javier on Twitch saying hello. Just traded Ibuka for Bucky Irving and Tyrone Tracy. I think Javier's a first-time chatter as well. Welcome in, Javier, first-timer on Twitch. Would I trade, or you just traded Ibuka for Bucky Irving and Tyrone Tracy? I think that deal's fine. I think that deal's fine. I just had Jonathan Taylor at running back and Devontae, CD, and Ibuka at wide receiver, and you moved Ibuka for Bucky. Is it a good trade? I think it's a fine 1-for-1. We don't need everyone to win a trade. I don't do a ton of running back for running back trades because someone wins and someone loses. In this one, you needed a position swap and you got to find one. We don't know the future, but I think you come out in a better spot. Did you get the best player? It's not as important. Portland Allen, should I trade Kittle and a late first for Amari and Hampton? I think that's fine. Yeah. See, I'm going to watch the weekly ranked vids. Appreciate you. Hey, I appreciate anyone who watches a weekly rank vids. I love crazy. Did you answer my question on AJ Brown and BTJ for Pittman? I think I missed your answer. Would I do AJ Brown and BTJ for Pittman? That I don't know that I personally would. If I'm sending those guys, I feel like we're just getting out all the way at the bottom and ignoring any upside they might have. And I might stay with some of the upside. The Beef 334, thank you for the follow. Souders, start Gadsden or Mark Andrews. I'll go with Gadsden. Juan says Lad or Brees at flex this week. I'm going Lad. Andre Jean, the Duck. I got Saquon, Bucky, Dowdle. There's a lot of things here. Where's the question? Would I trade either Shakir or would you trade for either Shakir or Adams? Yeah, I would trade for Devontae Adams. I really like Devontae Adams. I'm not sure what the question is. James Breen, Hannes, Herbert, or May? I've got ranks, James Breen. You can check it right there. TR, Bucky Fortet. Would I trade Bucky Fortet? I think you could get better receivers. Like we heard Bucky for Odunze. We heard Bucky for Nico Collins. We heard Bucky for Ibuka in one. I like all of those guys over Tet. So I would say no, just on the opportunity cost. If you take that deal, you're not getting a much better deal that other people are getting. Kobe Todd, Justin Jefferson, or Nico rest of season? I think I'm still Justin Jefferson. I think I'm still at Justin Jefferson. Jesus. McMillan for Montgomery and Addison. Okay. If you need another running back for David Montgomery there, that's fine. I could be doing that. Andre Jean says, sorry, my app crashed when you answered. I'll be honest, I didn't answer. I could not tell what you were asking. Christian Munera, I have Bo Nix starting, but I don't know if should I trust him against Kansas City. There's Mills, Mariota, Love, Tua Jones. Like Daniel Jones? I mean, Daniel Jones is on bye, but I think you should pick up Daniel Jones. Yeah, I think I'm just starting Bo Nix. Let's see. Javier says, I know you answered the question, but an ad ran as soon as you answered. Just resend it, Javier. I know you're a first timer. I do go. Yeah, first time in the chat. Let's go. So we do have a general rule of let's come to an agreement. There's a way around ads. You don't have to, but if I answer it during ads and you know that I did, if you say that, hey, I think you answered it during ads and you repost the question, I won't read the ad part and I will just read the question. That's probably the only time I'm okay if you're reposting something. And it's just an understanding. Yeah, ads help me. I'll try to help you in return. There's a way around ads that also helps, but ads help me. So just rethrow it, and I'll say that maybe once a week. Vascilla, thoughts on Jayden Reed and any news on him? No news, not a ton of, I mean, someone last night said he's coming back soon. We did not follow it up. We were just doing a gaming stream. Let's take a look. If there has been any news of when he could be coming back. Collarbone works off to the side at Thursday practice, remains on injured reserve. So if he's doing this and there's nothing coming back, he's still at IR. We haven't heard anything yet. Like, yeah, you can grab him and stash him if you have an IR spot. All right, Javier says Ibuka or Devontae Adams rest of season. Slight edge to Adams, but they're going to be very similar tiers. DSM just subscribed, it says. Prime sub. It hasn't triggered the noise yet. DSM subscribed to Prime. Thank you very much. That puts us at, I think, 2 out of 4. I don't think I reset the goal. No, I didn't. I think we're at 2 out of 4 on the day. And then I went back and checked. We only had a 1-day streak going. AP says, please run as many ads as you can. I don't. I've got it to the recommended baseline. eBay says, enjoy no ads for 30 days. Yeah, you could do that with a Prime one on there. We won't go into selling. We'll go to Master Duck on YouTube. Start 2, Judy, DeMarcado, Tucker, Hunt, or Slayton. I think Slayton and Kareem Hunt. If there's no Pacheco, I'll go Kareem Hunt. The Beef just traded Ladd and Tet for Justin Jefferson. Thoughts? I like it. I like it. Christian Munera, thank you for the follow on TikTok, Christian. Christian Owen says Diggs, Pearsall, or Shakir. That's a lot of. Oh, and I think if you can trade at this point Diggs and Shakir and come away with one better option, that would be what I would look for. I will rank them for you, Owen, but I'll also call out, like, if you could do a 2-for-1 trade, here's how I build 2-for-1 trades on YouTube. It's a couple-minute video of how I would build a target for you. I would recommend that. But then if it's Diggs, Pearsall, or Shakir, I would have that ranked as, where do I have Diggs? So I would have Pearsall around 24, Diggs. Nope, that's on here. Diggs at 25 and Shakir at 32. So a teensy tiny edge to Pearsall, but Diggs as someone interchangeable. Big Gucci Sosa 300. Is that a family name, Big Gucci? Devontae Adams or CeeDee Lamb rest of season? I would say CeeDee Lamb rest of season. eBase, did you answer if Vidal and Benson for AJ Brown was good value or no? Yeah, I would be fine moving that. I think I would be fine. I mean, Vidal's going to fade away. You have a couple weeks of Vidal. If you're not starting Vidal, definitely move him in a deal like that. Jason SDRD with the follow on TikTok. Christian says, is there a way I can send my roster and get help? There is. So that question comes from TikTok. If you're watching on TikTok, you can join our fantasy football Discord. Here on your screen, there's the browser. If you look right down below that, there may be chat overlapping with some of the text, but it says fantasy team reviews in Discord. And then under that, it says tinyurl.com/boom discord. If you punch that into your browser, it'll get you in there. Here's what it looks like. Here's how it looks on a desktop. I assume if you're watching on TikTok, it would take you to a phone view. We do our roster reviews. Here's how many are currently open in our Discord in the roster help and screenshot channel. But in order to post in here, you would just need a specific Discord role. So we have that listed in our member role info. It's tied to Twitch subscriptions that will automatically give you that role. You can do those with Amazon Prime, Twitch Prime, and it costs you nothing extra. It does send money to me. It just takes money from Amazon that you are giving to Amazon and gives it some of it to me instead. And that's what grants access to the roster help and screenshots channel. You could also do that if you don't have Twitch or don't have Amazon Prime. We have a server shop where it would be the same thing. So if you have Twitch but not Prime, you can do a Prime sub there, or a Twitch sub there, excuse me, or you could just do a Discord subscription, and that grants access to a very similar channel right here, server subscriber team reviews. It's just a limitation of Discord that I can't mix the channels, but they're the exact same thing. It's been a while since I said that today, but someone did specifically ask, so we brought it up. Tom Ash 7 has patiently been asking, need a defense to start, Ravens or Patriots? I would just go with the Patriots tonight against the Jets. Compared to the Ravens taking on Cleveland. Cleveland could just run the ball. I think there's more turnovers from the Jets. That's my guess. I don't play with a lot of defenses, though, Tom Ash. Let's go, because I think I'm falling behind here. Lag 1422 PPR. Would I start Dobbs, Parker Washington, or Trey Tucker this week? I think Parker Washington. We could check his injury, what's going on there. But if he's healthy and going, I'll probably end up using him. I'm Lizard. What do you think about Kyren Williams going forward now that it seems it's him and Corum going one drive each? I would say it only seems that way. Got to 58. They were blowing this game out. In the close games, he is getting 68, 75, 70, 75. He's leading the team in snap share. So it is not 1-to-1 Kyren to Corum. They won this game against San Francisco like 44-20. It was never close. So a game like that, it might be 1-to-1, but most games are not 20-point blowouts. So I'm fine with Kyren. I think you can get Kyren for cheap. DSM says, hey man, love the content. Thank you very much. Is Rice and Pickens, is he a first timer as well? First time chatter as well. And a sub as well. First time chatter sub. Hold on. Did he just come in and sub? Yes, he did. Duh, I'm an idiot. This is the one that was the prime sub. Thank you for the prime sub. Love the content. Is Rice and Pickens for Jamar worth it? I've still got JSN in London, but the running back room is tough. I would say if your running back room is tough, could you move Rice and Pickens, unless you're going to do like Rice and Pickens for Jamar and then flip him for a running back? I might use Pickens and one of your running backs to just up tier there instead and send out offers for those. The Rice and Pickens for Jamar on its own, even without any team context, feels like a lot. Oh, eBase. I was starting Vidal, but I have Chase Brown and Jacobs at running back. I just slid BTJ into the flex. Hopefully he plays this week. If he doesn't play, you can go with Vidal. Unless there's something about Vidal that I'm missing. All right, Javier, Burrow's likely back for the fantasy play. I think that's just responding on questions. The Beef, what are your thoughts on Jameson right now and rest of season? Jameson Williams, I think I said it in the ranks video. Like, I'm believing 2 weeks in a row of Jameson Williams getting more targets. I was not believing in the offseason when the coaches said we're going to use him more. I had a video that was pinned for a long time saying for Dynasty, like just sell Jameson Williams. People are hyping him up a ton. But after a couple weeks of seeing it happen, weeks 9 and 10 deep into the season, if it happens again, I'll be believing. And I could start him. I've got him at, where did I end up with him this week? 37, which is probably the highest I've had Jameson Williams ranked in a long time. So I'm believing if he's heating up and about to be on fire, like he could shoot up in the ranks for next week, or he could plummet back down based on what we see this week. Scuba Steve saw that the picture on the Discord sub was Creed. That was my was that Spotify Wrapped was all Creed songs. And Discord makes you put a picture, so I just found one that wasn't of my dog. I think you're the first person to call that out. Javier says Rice has tough matchups ahead. I'm not that worried about Rice in any matchup. Nasser Abdullah, there's a name I don't think I've seen. It's a fun one to say too. Nasser, I like that name. Justin Jefferson, Javonte Williams for St. Brown. Thoughts? I don't think I want to give up that much. Like, there's a good chance we go 2 weeks in the future. Justin Jefferson plays the Bears with who are struggling on defense, who are missing a lot of defensive players. And then I don't know who the Vikings play next, but there's a good chance 2 weeks from now we're looking back and saying, why did we have Justin Jefferson? Why did we let him fall so low? Javier, and even if we don't, and he stays where he's at, Jefferson and Javonte are both solid at their current production. Vidal, eBay says, I figured Vidal would be irrelevant after this week with Hampton coming back after the bye. I have Hampton on IR right now. They said he wouldn't be back until after the bye. It doesn't mean that he for sure is. We waited multiple more weeks than we thought with Bucky Irving, for example. G-Dog, benching Breece Hall for Trevion Henderson. I'll take a look at your ranks video as well. Do I have it that way? I think I do. I have Trevion at 15 and Breece Hall at 21. That's the way I have it. Stream Elements, we had Pangy Max with a follow on Twitch. All right, Shadow, I have Gatson, which I know you ranked high in your rankings. Okay, also picked up Put Fries in Mouth, and even considering flexing him over people like DJ Moore or Charbonnet, just because it's going to be a high-scoring game, and Pat torched the Bengals last time they played. Okay, do you think DJ Moore or Charbonnet are miles better? I would probably go with Charbonnet. Who's he playing? The Rams? Is he playing the Rams? Yes, because he just played the... Yeah, I think so. I could just look. Yeah, he's playing the Rams. You could do it. It has been tight ends catching a lot of touchdowns for the Steelers. If you've got a gut feeling, go with it. That's the game. I don't know that you have to ask permission. Do I have DJ Moore ahead? I would probably put DJ Moore in my lineup more weeks ahead of Pat Freiermuth. But if you put DJ Moore ahead and lose and Freiermuth does great, that's going to feel horrible. So it's okay. Michael Munoz, start 2. Dobbs, Ridley, Vidal, Harvey. I think I'm Vidal and Harvey there. Is this Silo on YouTube? CYLO. Dobbs for Judy. Do I panic with Keenan Allen? I don't know that we panic with Keenan Allen. He's kind of just been a wide receiver 3 for a month. I don't know that there's a ton of panicking to do. Would I trade Dobbs for Judy? I guess. If we're just saying, hey, maybe Judy's breaking out again or about to start a good stretch, I guess I could do that trade. But it's kind of just trading junk for junk and hoping that your one player's junk hits. Kind of a meaningless one there, Silo. V. Kenshin, should I sell Kyron high? I'm 2-8 and I have Jalen Warren. I don't know that Kyron is high or any. I think Kyron is this is one that for Kyron Williams, he is exactly what we paid for. He's not high, he's not low. We drafted him as running back 10, and he has been running back 10. Are we selling him high based on what we think will happen in the future? No. I think he's just exactly what we paid for. If you want to sell him, you can. If you feel like you're getting more than his production, sure. You should always be shopping your players, but Kyron Williams seems like one that you're just getting the exact thing we drafted. Nino Pena, which side? Josh Allen and J-Mo or Caleb and Rice? I think Caleb and Rice. Yeah, probably Caleb and Rice. Close. V. Kenshin, Kyron Addison, and Loveland. Uh, What's the deal? Kyron, Addison, and Loveland for Adams and Chase Brown. Would I trade Loveland and Addison for Devontae Adams? I would. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Were Odunze or Olave rest of season? Oh, my big old boys. I like both of these boys a lot. Oh, my sweet baby Odunze. I have this week. I have Olave's on bye, but they're both going to be solid wide receiver twos. I think there's power in saying we don't have to rank everyone and we can put people into a tier and then make our trades based on that. And that's about how I feel about these guys. I guess a slight edge to Odunze because I think his offense is better. Irony season, Woody Marks, DeAndre Swift, Jordan Addison, Ford, Justin Jefferson, and Calvin Austin. Yeah, give me Jefferson. Would I trade those three, Marks, Swift, and Addison, to get Justin Jefferson? Probably. I don't know your specific team, and this isn't quite an invitation for you to tell it to me, but there's plenty of times here where people are saying they need to pick between four guys for their flex, and I don't want to pick between four. I want Justin Jefferson if I can get him. So if that's the situation you are in, yeah, I want to do that. Adrian Gotways, should I start Kareem Hunt over Charbonnet or Mason since Pacheco isn't playing? That's the way I ranked it. So I had Kareem Hunt at 27. And who were your other guys? Jordan Mason. Yeah, I had him over Jordan Mason. I have Charbonnet slightly ahead. I have Charbonnet at 24 and Kareem Hunt at 27. I think some of the context that I give in the video is like Charbonnet's playing the Rams. That's one of the hardest rushing defenses, but in the red zone, they go to Charbonnet. They split it about 50-50 on a good day. Other days, it's just Charbonnet ahead. And in a better matchup, I would more confidently just take Charbonnet. You can start Hunt. I wouldn't think that's wild. They're close enough, like 25 versus 27 or whatever I said. It's like coin flip territory for me. Carlo Neptuno with a follow on TikTok. Thank you. Adrian on TikTok says, start Trevion Henderson or Quinshon Judkins. I've got Judkins ahead. If you guys are having a hard time getting questions read, and your question is, which running back do I start? Those are all answered in the ranks here as well. Broken down game by game. It's the same person sitting in the same chair. If you'd like to, you can imagine that I said your name before I read the ranks on the videos. That might help you. But it would be the same. It's just the same thoughts said on a different day. Phil, should I take AJ Brown for JMO? I would. I would take AJ Brown for JMO. They both have big high ceilings. I like AJ Brown's ceiling more, and I think it's more likely that he gets there compared to Jameson Williams. eBase, how are you feeling about Tyler Lockett being back with Geno and no Jacoby? I think that's a sneaky stash. I think it's a sneaky stash. Week 1, he gets in there and is going. I've said this a couple times to Texas Tejano, who I'm looking over, and it says he's still hanging out in messages. Like, there are teams that just don't really have a wide receiver 1. Without Marv, is there any receiver you want for the Cardinals? Not really. It's like, these are all even worse versions of the Titans. The Titans we're looking at, is it maybe Ayamanor? Is it maybe Chimere DK? Meh. Could just be none. If DK Metcalf missed for Pittsburgh, are we that excited for Roman Wilson or the other one, Calvin Austin? No, we kind of just say it's no one. So is it Tyler Lockett? It could be. Is it Trey Tucker? It could be. It could just as easily be no one or just Brock Bowers, but Tyler Lockett's a decent stash to see. Is it him? It might be. Coop Cool, sitting at 6 and 4, just got offered Puka and Judkins for Rice and Javonte. I think I'm staying with Puka. You would go, your other wide receivers, JSN, you have plenty of running backs, and you just do a slight dip from Javonte to Judkins, and you go from Rice to Puka. I think I'm okay taking Puka there. Z Solar, Stafford or Hurts this week. Huge matchup for me. Stafford's been on a heater. I mean, I would just, if you're going with Stafford, find a way to trade Hurts and solidify the matchup. I've got Stafford at 8 and Hurts at 3. Stafford playing the Seahawks, but I think the Rams can score on pretty much any team. But I think the better answer is, like, if they're both through their bye, just move Jalen Hurts. If people are still willing to pay you what we drafted these top-end quarterbacks for, if you could still get second-round value for Josh Allen, even though a ton of quarterbacks have just popped up for free and someone still thinks those guys are worth that, you should. Each position is only valued compared to what their other position is doing. And if we've gained, I mean, Jackson Dart's concussed, but he's been very good. Daniel Jones popped up out of nowhere. Drake May was drafted in the 11th or 12th round. That's three easy guys who are all top, pretty solid options. Mahomes has gone up in value. So if you can still sell Jalen Hurts as though he's a third round value, I just would. Stafford, you probably didn't draft, and you're getting top 12 production from. And then you could get all that Jalen Hurts value into your lineup, and you don't have to question it each week, and you just have a better lineup every week. I would look at doing something like that. Postman, I currently have Bill as my RB2. Trade Josh Allen for Bo and Judkins. Postman, what does Alvin Kamara cost? What does Kamani Vidal for a week cost? I don't know that we like if you're hungry, you're not going to bring $1 million bill to the store and try to buy something with that. You buy something reasonable for the price that it's worth. Especially if you have a great team around Bill at RB2, you can be fine with Rashad White for a week if there's no Bucky, Kamani Vidal for another week, and then you try to solve it again in a different way next week. Or you hope that someone else, I mean, you don't hope for injuries, but injuries will happen as well. And we can say, I don't need to move my best player in a bad value deal, knowing that there could be someone who pops up next week that I can grab on waivers. Nate on TikTok, Lamar for Devonta Smith in a 1 quarterback league. You already have Hurts and Daniel Jones. I would say, Nate, check out, like, here's what I use for real dynasty trades, Dynasty Daddy. And then right here on the left, you can go to players and trade database and set the value to 1 quarterback, and then just get a gauge of like, what are people getting for Lamar? Recently, just a 26 first for Lamar, which gets pretty close to about what Devonta Smith is worth. So you could take a look at stuff like that and tweak some of the settings to match closer to your league, just to get other crossover points of what Lamar or any players getting. I don't know a ton of 1 QB dynasty value off the top of my head. I think you'd be better served checking in on that. If I knew, I would just tell you, or if I felt confident. Let's see, Iron Season, I had a lot of depth. I'm 9-1. That's how I looked at it. I mean, that probably makes sense. I will say, Iron Season, I don't know what we're talking about. I don't know what we're talking. I try to, for each question, talk about it as though it was my team and that I like it as much as you like your team, but I can't remember them all. Joey Joestar, when's it time that you do pre-draft rankings for fantasy? When's it that time do you do pre-draft rankings for, when will I do more rankings for fantasy? Joey Joestar, you're re-ask it, because I don't want to. Let's keep going. Scooby C says, I thought you were the Dynasty Daddy. No, there is someone else out there named Dynasty Daddy, and he's my competition. I'm just joking. I'm sure if I talked to him, we would just be friendly. Speaking of, I'll be calling Luke, also does fantasy stuff again today, just to chat. I would do the same thing with Dynasty Daddy. I just don't know him. Riley says, what's up? Finally got some time to tune in. What's up, Riley? You think I should trade Flowers and Vidal for Chase Brown? I would trade Flowers and Vidal for Chase Brown. Let's see, V. Kenshin, should I sell Pearsall with a losing record? Yeah, I think so. I don't know the full context of things, but if you, V. Kenshin, if you're selling Pearsall and putting more value, if you have a losing record, I want to run riskier. I want to get down to just the bare bones best players I can get. If you're 4-6 and you need to start stacking wins, then I'm going to go a bit riskier and go week by week and run without depth. You know, eventually we're just out of it. I don't really care if I come in last place or 7th place. I just want to get into the playoffs. So I'll get riskier and trust that I can find someone later, and then that'll be my championship run. Because I'm either getting the first, second, or third and getting money, or I'm not winning, and I don't really care. I either want to cash or I don't care where I end up. Kyle Figgy, should I trade Odunze and Higgins for Jettas? That doesn't seem like a too much. I want to consolidate at this time, so we could definitely do that. Put some onions on that beach. I want to keep Lions defense. Who do I pick? Who do I drop to pick up another defense? McLaurin or Jayden Reed? You just don't want to start the Lions this week at Philly. I guess Jayden Reed. Colton M. Welcome back on YouTube. Which side do I like more for rest of season? James Cook and Breece Hall or Chase Brown and Trevion Henderson? Probably James Cook and Breece Hall. There's a chance that it's Trevion Henderson. Like, we don't know how things are going to go tonight. We don't know how much longer Ramondre's out. We don't know what his role is when he comes back. So there's always a chance that it goes that way. But I think I like Cook and Breece more. Where are we? I've been jumping around, getting lost. Kingslayer, Dowdle for Collins. Kingslayer, we've been doing daily trade value videos. We covered Rico Dowdle today. So you can check that out. I'll mention that for everyone on TikTok where we do shorter trade value ones. We've got 5 per video here. We did cover Rico Dowdle, and then I will just tell you, yeah, I saw a lot of people sending Rico Dowdle for Nico Collins 1-for-1. Evan on YouTube, would I trade Brock Bowers for Chase Brown and Kelsey? I could. If that's solving a running back problem for you, I might look to solve it in a different way. But I don't hate it. I would just look for a different option. Vasquez, if Mike Kincaid and Schultz is out this Sunday, who should I start? Should I pick up 4 Schultz, Theo Johnson or Fannin? Theo Johnson. They're coin flippable for me. I've got Johnson at 13, Fannin at 14. We'll take that as an opportunity to say we also have ranks for the week. So if I'm referencing a number, Theo Johnson at 13, Harold Fannin at 14, that is described in this rank video, broken up game by game. Laka OL, if Pacheco is out, do you start Hunt over Monty? Same answer. But I like Laka OL. Would I put Hunt? I have Hunt at 27 and Monty at 29. 27 and 29. So very close. Greer Jr. start Caleb Purdy or Flacco this week. I think Flacco. Flacco against the Steelers, I have at 6. There's a chance it blows up in our face and the Steelers have gotten much better. But Flacco hasn't really been slowed down by anyone yet. DP15 trades CD. Welcome back. Welcome back. I don't think I've skipped you today. Trade CD and ETN for Achan and Olave. I feel like in a lot of leagues, DP, you could swap ETN for Olave and no one would bat an eye. Some leagues, once I would say no, but those seem even value. Would I then go from CD to Achan? I don't know that I would. That seems like Achan just had a massive week, but more people might favor CD. Trade Ibuka and Jalen Warren for Jamar Chase. Yeah, you're 9-1, and both Ibuka and Warren have pretty tough playoff schedules. I wouldn't look at it that way. I would just, I would just, if I'm 9-1, I want to consolidate into my starting lineup. So if any of what you're doing is moving from bench depth to starting lineup strength, now's the time to start doing that. Joey Joestar, when it's drafting season, do you do pre-draft rankings? I will. Yeah, Joey Joestar, we will have a full draft guide next year. So I've been talking about plans for next year with the wife. What are we doing? How will content change next year? I don't know if it'll be 3-hour streams every day or if we'll get to the point where we'll have a large enough audience that we can cover maybe a live show with a producer reading chat and pulling out questions, or more of just videos that try our best to answer everything. There could come a point where a rankings video answers a lot of the questions that show up here, and then we just have a shorter trade video, or we take trades beforehand and move stuff. So we're looking at a bunch of options for next year of best maximization of time, but there was probably going to be a draft guide with pre-draft rankings, video breakdowns for each player, a website component for it. And that would be around like July. The real autism flex, AJ Brown or Aaron Jones. I think I would go AJ Brown. If you went Aaron Jones, I wouldn't say you were crazy, but I think I would go AJ Brown. Z Solar, Gatson, or Laporta rest of season. Really close. Really close. To the point where usually that question is just which one to trade for or which one to trade away. And it's whichever one you can trade away. So I'm going to guess, like, what's the other question that you have there? Who do I like more rest of season? I might give a slight edge to Laporta because I've seen him do it longer. But that's also one where I might just be fine. Like, I would rank it that way. And if we're wrong with tight ends. It's very tough to rank. Chandler, Harvey, and Pickens for Judkins. Let's wait a week. If I have Harvey and Pickens, I think I'm just waiting a week. Rebs, should I start Jameis or Brees Hall in my super flex? I would start Jameis. I would go with Jameis. Shane Kindred, I'm rolling the dice with the Lions against Philly, especially after what I saw in their last primetime. Philly's last primetime? Or the Lions' last primetime? I think I'm okay with Lions. I don't know what their fantasy scoring was against Washington. They beat up on them. Camden, what you got, Camden? I try not to miss people, but Camden, what do you got? Would I rather trade Henry and Henderson for would I trade Henry and Henderson for Saquon and Tyrone Tracy? I think I'm sticking with Henry and Henderson there. Then where was that? All right. Bisco. Bisco, did I miss you too? I don't mean to. Okay. Is it worth trading Kittle and Judkins for Tyler Warren? I don't think so. Is Tyler Warren that much better than Kittle? I don't think he's that much better. My running backs, like you have a bunch of running backs trying to prep for the playoffs. I'm almost certainly locked in. I like the concept. We've gone through a couple of ones like this, Bisco, where I like the concept of consolidating, but I think you could consolidate with Judkins somewhere else and get a much more sure thing. Like we had someone sending Olave and Henry to get to Achane, and then someone else sending Olave and ETN to get to Josh Jacobs. And I like that ETN to Jacobs usage of Olave more. And that's similar to what I think on yours, where there's a different spot you could trade. I don't remember who you were trading in that tight end trade, but I think you could get a better up tier in a different spot. Carter, I'm thinking of trying to trade Justin Jefferson to a big Vikes guy in my league. I kind of need a running back, and he has Cook and Gibbs, but no running back depth, as well as ZT. Okay, who do you like for Justin Jefferson and Vidal? You're trading Jefferson. I mean, if I'm trading Justin Jefferson and Vidal, I would want Gibbs. And if I can't get Gibbs, I would just stay with Justin Jefferson. Flow Sauce, which quarterback should I start, Tua or Davis Mills? Is it Davis Mills again? I would go with Tua against the commies. Neo Glenn, start Kelsey or Ferguson this week? I thought Neo Glenn had Nitro. Is that a different end name? Maybe it was Neori and Neo Glenn. Both start N-E-O. Start Kelsey or Ferguson this week? I have Ferguson ahead. Playing the Raiders on Monday night. Who do I like more rest of season? Derrick Henry or Judkins? Probably Henry. The guy that I've seen do it a long time. They both have put up similar stat lines. They're both really good power backs. I think I would just lean towards Henry and go with more known production. Cisco on 23, trade Addison for Marks. I think that's fine. We've had a lot of people ask questions like, I need RB2 help. Should I trade Puka? And then they get a bad deal. I like this way better. Trading Addison for Marks, it's a fine crossover. And you're not like, you might not be starting Addison each week, and now you can put Marks into your starting lineup. I like solving an RB2 or a wide receiver 2 problem in that way more than the other deals that I was seeing. Reflections, trade Brees Hall and AJ Brown. Looks like I might have just jumped the chat and did not mean to, gang. So we'll cover Chandler and reflections. So trade Brees Hall and AJ Brown for Stephon Diggs and Kyron Williams. Brees isn't consistent. Like, sure. Sure. I don't know that I particularly would or would feel the need to do this one, but I could take Stephon Diggs and Kyron. I really like Kyron, so I could take Stephon Diggs and Kyron. And I don't know which side I for sure like better. So that sometimes trades are even, and I think that's fine. Chandler says, what about Harvey and Odunze instead? Wait a week still? I don't remember who the other player was, but that's probably the answer. Remind me what you'd be getting in return, Chandler. I try my best to cover as many as I can, but I cannot remember any. Scuba Steve was gifted another sub. Thank you, Scuba Steve. That one went to Shadow. That puts us at, I think, 3 on the day. Oh, Shadow says your plans for next year are super cool. I hope you grow a ton more. I appreciate how much work you're putting in, especially with other life stuff in the way. If there's nothing else in the way, it's just this. Jeff sending roses on TikTok. I mean, thank you for the kind words. Let's add that in as well. Dismiss. We're just trying to grow it. Just trying to grow it. Trying to get, we got TikTok on the monetize. We're trying to get YouTube there next. Twitch already is at it. Just growing what we can while we can for this year. And then we'll see what happens in the off season with other things and dynasty content. I just don't think there's as many people that want to check in daily about dynasty content. So we'll come up with some other stuff. Okay, where were we? Looks like I missed. Yeah, I think here's some of the ones that I missed, like Sharpie, who might have been a first-time chatter on Twitch. Maybe not. Sharpie says Henderson, Vidal, T. Higgins, Devonta Smith sit 1. I think in that group, I'm sitting Vidal. I think in that one, I'm sitting Vidal. All right, DSM, who do I start at RB2? Algier, Spears, Ken Walker, or Tracy? I think Ken Walker, and I don't love it. It would be Ken or Spears. Easy dubs, Rice, Jefferson, and London over McConkey. That's how I would rank it. That's how I would rank it. That's 3 really good options. And if you have McConkey, he could be a starter for someone else, and you could get a really good running back or update one of your running backs. Carter says he saw it. Didn't mean to send it twice. No worries, Carter. No worries, Carter. Thank you for saying it. Reflections, Brees and AJ Brown for Kyron and Stephon Diggs. We did cover that one, didn't we? Yeah, we did. Because I said I liked Kyron. Vasquilla, which defense this week, Baltimore or the Seahawks? I think it was Baltimore versus the Browns and Seahawks against another NFC West. I mean, I would probably go Baltimore against Cleveland instead of Seattle versus the Rams. Flow Sauce, I did Worthy and Judkins for Kyron and Devontae Adams. I like Kyron and Adams there. HQNNK, who do you like more in the home stretch, Kyron or Henry? I think it's still Derrick Henry by a slight edge, but they would be really close. Okay, Chandler's back. It's between Odunze or Pickens and Harvey for Judkins. I think it's just the Harvey breaking it down for me. Like Odunze or Pickens for Judkins is pretty close in general. And there's a real chance in a couple days we're saying, man, Harvey looked amazing. And then you would feel like we gave up too much. Because at those prices, if Harvey doesn't look that great or they do something else with J.K. Dobbins out, that's still the right value for Judkins. The guy might not want to do it, but it's still the right value. And there's a chance that Harvey shoots up. So we'd be selling Harvey at his lowest in a deal like that. Let's give a shout out to Scuba Steve with the gifted sub again. I don't know that I gave it enough attention, enough hype. Thank you to Scuba Steve. We're fading. We're fading. Oh, we're at the final 9 minutes and we're fading. Brains getting fried. Colby Taylor, Justin Jefferson for Nico Collins and Jalen Warren. Okay. I don't know that I think we're hitting the low end on Jefferson there, but it's not insane. Adam Flynn, do I do Kyron for T. Higgins? You could if you had needed a wide receiver, but I think you can find usable wide receivers for much cheaper than Kyron Williams. That's my thoughts on it. We were drafting those guys around the same spot, and they're now starting to get back to where they were. I don't think Kyron really ever left. Higgins is getting back there. In most situations, I would rather have Kyron, though. AP says, my opinion as a first-year player, if you could do a room of Chase, CeeDee, and Adams for wide receiver, that would be really solid. Maybe find some good matchups for the running backs. Yeah. Flo Sauce need a big Bears. We need big Bears with this week. I always need a big Bears week. I always need a big Bears week. Flow Sauce. We're in Chicago. I'm always looking for a big Bears week. Watermelon stuck between Jags, Bears, and Rams for defense. Sorry to ask the question again. Had to join a meeting. Hey, get the money. Get the money. Probably maybe the Bears against Minnesota, Jags against Los Angeles. I guess the Bears. But it's not a confident one. Jaden Rayner, trade away Gibbs and Hurts and receive McCaffrey and Allen. Sure. The difference maker there is I like Allen's more than Hurts, but we're really just flipping where we have our greatness. Could Christian McCaffrey be as good as Gibbs? Yes, he could. And then that would even out any difference between Allen and Hurts. All right, Nate, got an offer. DJ Moore and Laporta for ETN and Strange. I think I'm saying Laporta. on the Laporta side for value insulation. Like, I'm pretty sure I know what Laporta is going to be next year. ETN leaving the Jags. I think he's in his last year with the Jags, right? And then even if DJ Moore, I think DJ Moore's at his floor. He'll be with the Bears next year. They can't really get out on him. They have a club option that they use for 2025, and then 2026, he's an unrestricted free agent. So Strange and ETN could both go through a bunch of value volatility. I might just stay with Laporta and know what I have there, and DJ Moore, who could get better and is unlikely to get much less valuable. Your boy Chris, I traded COO and Pollard for Javonte and Troy Franklin. Who is COO? Cool. Let me know, Chris. Chris, you're my boy. You'll let me know. I don't know who COO, lowercase COO is. Brent Rand is here saying, yo, what's up, Brent Rand? Welcome back. Not a first-time chatter today. Simi06, I traded Jonathan Taylor, T. Higgins, and J-Mo for Amon-Ra and Javonte Williams in a must-win week. So would I do T. Higgins and J-Mo for Javonte Williams? I don't think that's insane. I see you moving Jonathan Taylor. The way I would kind of describe this one, Amon-Ra's a top option. Jonathan Taylor's a top option. We might all draft Jonathan Taylor ahead of Amon-Ra. Am I fine flipping my top guy for a different top guy as the ticket to make a T. Higgins and J-Mo up tier to Javonte Williams go through? Okay. That's kind of how I'm describing it. It's very close value to value trade. All right, B on TikTok with the Lorax picture. I remember B. Traded Gibbs for Hampton, Abuka, and Genty. Is it crazy? It could be. It could be B. If you're like a losing record and you're trying to get the value win side, then it could make sense. But right now, I'm trying to consolidate my stuff. Sick wound. Any update on Dobbins? Unlikely. If there's been one while we were live, I wouldn't have heard it. Not practicing IR move undecided from 21 hours ago. So just not practicing. They're not even sure if he's going on IR, so maybe they're deciding, does he play in 2 weeks? Adam Flynn, Laporta did not practice again. Who would you pick up of Otten, Ertz, and Johnson? Probably Otten. B, is it crazy if I'm going to be starting all of them in a 2 flex? That makes more sense, but B, I don't know who you're bumping down off of your bench. So as we get later in the season, B, I do start to think of like, you're starting these guys over other guys that are now getting pushed down to your bench, or some people are getting dropped because you're bringing in 3 people. So you have to drop some guys. Usually I don't want the package side of a 2 for 1 or 1 for 3. Usually I want the 1, even if you're starting all of them, unless you're taking the guys that you are moving out of your lineup and trading them for better starters or pairing them with some of the guys that you just got for even better starters, then I probably don't want to split assets. DP15, pick up Krusky Merritt or Jordan Mason off waivers. I think Jordan Mason by a slight bit. Krusky Merritt could end up looking better, and he has been the lead guy there. He just hasn't looked that good. So I guess Jordan Mason. Where are we? We covered Simi, Zach Barrett on YouTube, Judkins, Nico Collins, and Daniel Jones for Amon-Ra and Drake May. Would I trade Judkins, Nico Collins? Yeah, I would take Amon-Ra and Drake May there. If you don't need Judkins, you go from Collins to Amon-Ra, Daniel Jones to Drake May, and you send Judkins away to do it. Yeah. And then we covered Adam Flynn. Flo Sauce, are you from Chicago? I live in Schaumburg. We used to go to Schaumburg all the time. My wife and I met volunteering with kids at Conant High School in Schaumburg. So we were in Schaumburg all the time. I mean, I grew up further out west on I-90, Schaumburg on I-90, and then you just keep going. I grew up like way out in Algonquin from Chicago. That's where my fiance went. Oh, yeah, we were there. I think my wife has headphones in, probably like 2011 to 2014, volunteering out there. DP says 2019 with Conant. Okay, I was right. Saber, the person ended up accepting the Henry offer and also snagged Wandale in it. Thoughts? Saber, I'm happy for you. I do not know the trade. Let me know the trade, Saber. We're in the final 1 to 2 minutes, so we're going low key mode. You send that trade in, Saber. We'll cover Lalo AR. Cooper's been saying, should I drop Mariota for Flacco? Yes. Yep. Carter Sensabaugh, do you do streams after Thursday night games or on Friday about certain player value changes, potential injuries? I don't do a stream after the Thursday night games. We did a gaming stream last night. We did some arc raiders, but I had no idea what I was doing, so we switched to Fortnite. We'll probably do that Friday, depending on how late the game goes tonight. Maybe we do that it's like technically a separate room, but it's an extension, so there's still a big hole in the wall window to my bedroom, so I don't stay in here very late doing stuff because that's where my wife sleeps, and then I do too. So not a ton. It would be. I didn't know that if anyone would want stuff on a Friday morning for value changes and potential injuries. I don't get a lot of viewership on stuff about like game recaps or things like that. I don't see the follow-up from Saber. AP, will the Jets score more or less than 10 points tonight? Let's go more, but don't take any of this as gambling advice. Scuba Steve dropping bits. Thank you, Scuba Steve. Nasser. We'll cover Lalo, then Nasser. Nasser dropped it twice. Not Nasser. Drop it once. Drop it once. Tell me how to say your name and drop the chat one time. You waited 2 minutes. You can see where we are in the chat, Nasser. Lalo, should I trade JSN for St. Brown and Judkins? That one I can do. Like, I like JSN. I think a lot of people would say they want JSN before Amon-Ra. But going forward, we don't know the future. It could be just the same production. And then you get Judkins on top. Judkins is enough to get me to say, yeah, I'll take the second option without any issues. Nasser says, very sorry, but you said my name perfectly. Yes. The number one thing, if I ask, how do I say the name? Let me know. Let me know. I'm trying to get them all right. AP, we covered Nasser, Cook, Ibuka, Justin Jefferson, and Javonte Williams for, okay, Nasser, we'll do a big one. AP said, just put $100 on more than 10 points. Don't listen to me for that. As I type this in, I would say fantasy football is not the same as sports betting because there's so much of a social component and trading. You can't trade in a parlay. So don't listen. I'm not a good sports bettor. All right, Cook, Ibuka, Justin Jefferson, and Javonte Williams. For Jacobs, Chase Nico Collins. So I just said fantasy football is not sports betting. Scooby Steve just put my child's education savings on it. Because one of the things that any tool like this does not take into account is getting the 3 is usually better than getting the 4. In here, Justin Jefferson's a little bit undervalued, I think, in the market. He's gone from 8 to 7 in the past day. I think people are coming back a little bit around on him, but Jamar Chase versus Justin Jefferson in the preseason, we loved Chase, and I had Jefferson around the same. They're way off in value here. Would I send the 4 for the 3? Cook, Ibuka, Jefferson, Williams, Josh Jacob. I don't know that I am. I might just stay with the 4 here. I don't know who I'm adding that gets us close, or just stick with doing neither side of the deal. I don't know that either side is clearly enough that I got to go for it. Carter says I got to turn on notifications to get in these earlier. Thanks again. We do them 11 to 2 Central Time. And then I think tomorrow night we might do another less question and answer centric one, gaming one. We covered Nasser, we covered Carter. AP put $100 on plus 10 points. Please don't do that. And then Deep, KJ, and Crispy Kev will be the last ones. Would you rather Ibuka or Pittman rest of season? Think of trading Pitt, Gadsden, and Cook for Gibbs and London. I'm fine staying with Ibuka over Pittman rest of season. Deep. The thing I'll add that I've said a bunch of times is I don't think like that often. If someone wants Ibuka and that means I stay with Pittman, and as long as the deal for Ibuka is fine, I keep the one that I can't move is usually the way I would describe it. Crispy Kev, Mason Taylor, or Musgrave. I've got Taylor ranked ahead this week, but they're both deep down in the rankings. Crispy Kev, you're on YouTube. You can check out the ranks video here where we go through each game by game. We put ranks for any relevant players on the screen. It's very small on your screen, but you can see they would show up right here in the video. It's the same thoughts from the same brain, sitting in the same chair, in the same room. I just don't say your name before I answer your questions on this one. But a lot of the same questions that people have on these videos would show up in the rankings videos there. You can also ask your questions in the fantasy Discord that we have here, boombustfantasy.com. If you're watching on Twitch on your desktop, you can just scroll right down and there will be a button that says Discord. If you're watching on a phone or on YouTube, you can type !Discord in the chat and a chatbot will send you the link. Here's the thing, that link is the same thing as the one that I'm about to tell to the people on TikTok. If you're watching on TikTok, here's my mouse on the browser. If you just bring your eye line right down below the browser, you can see some text. There might be chat over it, but it says Fantasy Team Reviews in Discord. And then right below that is the link, tinyurl.com/boom_discord, just like a boom bust fantasy, but tinyurl.com/boom_discord will send you a link to the Discord. If it's not working for you, it worked for all of these people, so it's probably user error. And if it's user error and you can't get in, if you can't solve it, I might not want you there. If you can't solve that problem, if we can't help ourselves. Andy is back right at the end. Andy, drop it in the Discord. Andy, we are at 2:00. We will be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central Time, the Lord's time, the time of Lincoln, the best time zone that there is. And we'll talk to you guys then. Take care, guys. Take care, guys. I'm going to go eat about 40 hot dogs and cry. Here's how we end a TikTok. Here is where we go to end everything else.